You know what that sound means. It means it's time for Z Show. With me, your host, Z. Welcome, everybody. Climb aboard. This is a ship, an airship. The Airship Z Show. Strap in. It's always at least an interesting ride. Any other superlatives? Well, I'll let you fill those in. I guess it's a matter of interpretation. But either way, welcome to Z's show. I hope this day finds you well, wherever you may be located on this beautiful place that we call Earth. It is beautiful, parts of it, at least. But it's not all like cotton candy. It's not all like peaches and cream. But there's great beauty here. Hopefully you're experiencing at least a slice of that beauty. I know I am. It seems to me that you need to find the beauty. Maybe it's really about your perspective. They say beauty is in the eye of the beholder. That statement seems to hold up. To me, at least. The way one sees a thing is highly dependent, likely on the eyes that you're using. That's why it's so important to find the gratitude. The gratitude in the simple things that encompass your life. But welcome. I'm trying not to be distracted by the chat because I have Smith W here. He's not happy with me. But much love, Smith. You know, I have positive feelings for you. I'm trying to establish boundaries with you, Smith W. You're not the easiest person to, let's say, have any type of relationship with. Even a cursory relationship like the ones we find here online. You're difficult. Many people here could attest to it. That's the cool part about this whole metaversal experience, is that all these relationships are playing out in front of people. And turns out it's all on record. It's all recorded. So I'm trying with you, Smith. But you are quite trying yourself. You're trying my patience. Is he talking to me, guys, in the chat? Heidi wants me to just let Smith. Well, he's getting my attention, Heidi. He seems upset because I blocked him again. But here's the thing, Smith. I blocked a lot of people. You'll notice there's a lot of names that you're not going to see in the chat tonight. So, but let me just promote your video, because that's what he's upset with me. He released a new video, and he's feeling a certain way because I didn't highlight it on the show. And let me read what he just wrote to me. Smith, the level of entitlement, I actually have to respect it. What did he say? He said, you do a 3-hour show that's 90 separate 2-minute increments at $5 for every 2 minutes, you'd be rich. What? Is that the deal, Smith? You'll give me $5 every time I play your video? I don't think it's going to quite work like that, good sir. It's not kind of the way it works around here. Smith, I've banned and deleted people that donate way more than that. So you have to understand that. Like way more have been deleted. It doesn't affect me. It doesn't sway me. Who knows? There might be like there might be some like amount of money that would sway me. But so far nobody has done that. Like I've said, like Joe Rogan money, like the money they threw at Joe Rogan to do his like Spotify podcast. Yeah, that might sway me. If anybody remembers, Joe Rogan was like very aware of the fakery involved in the moon landing. He was quite vocal about it. He was pretty educated and he was very eloquent when speaking on it. Weird thing happened though. They threw like a couple of 100 million at him, and all of a sudden he's interviewing Neil deGrasse Tyson and basically making fun of moon landing deniers. So Joe Rogan evidenced that there's certainly some amount of money that one would compromise their morals and integrity for, but I haven't seen it yet. So I don't know. Like, I don't want to say like, I would never sell out. I'd like to think so, but I've never been put to the test. So there might be an amount. But whatever you donated to me, Smith, that's not the amount. The funny thing is, I'll probably end up playing your vid sometime. But now I just won't because you asked. It might not even be subbed to you, Smith. All right, we're going to make a deal, Smith. Ready? Here's how it's going to go from now on. If you want like some attention here on Z Show, you're going to have to come up on panel. Then I'm more likely to play your vid. All right, see, is Rose here? Rose, do I have to explain this to everybody? Yeah, I think I saw Rose's name. Look, guys, there's like a give and take with this whole thing. Me playing your video, Smith, that's not very valuable content to me, or very likely my audience. But if you come up here and then we can have a back and forth, and then maybe I'm interested, and then I could like maybe play your video or promote your channel. I don't know why you're so hung up, Smith. You need to go to those like channels that have way bigger numbers, like Enter the Stars, Donut Factory, all those guys that you love. Even that Call for an Uprising guy. I'm sure you're probably still sub to him. See if they'll promote your video. But much love. Everybody go watch Smith W's video. I can't drop a link because I don't think I'm sub to him anymore. But see if you come up, Smith, then you could, what you do is then you drop the video in the back chat. And I don't have to be sub to a bunch of channels. Don't feel any way about it. I unsubbed from Mr. 1-to-1 the other day because all his videos are about palm reading and his cat. Are you here, Mr. 1-to-1? I know it's late where you live. I almost want to go back and read some of the messages that Mr. 1-to-1 was leaving me, but in my comment section. Maybe I'll just wait until he comes back up on the show. He was saying crazy things, which is funny because Mr. 1-to-1 is so fascinated with our friend Party Poet. But his life and his adventures and stories, he may have Mr. Party Poet topped based off the brief things that he that he conveyed to me. He's obviously not here tonight, but I hear people asking for wrenches. Yeah, Notice there's no wrenches in my chat. I had to get rid of the wrenches like a long time ago, like almost a year ago. And I'm constantly reminded why. One, because you never know when people are going to turn on you. That's the weird part about this interwebs, the strange behavior that I see. It still surprises me, even from men, especially from men. When I see men acting a certain way, it skeeves me out, gives me like a vomit taste in my mouth. But two, our friend Nachi Keta, on his channel, somebody went rogue with a wrench and deleted a bunch of people and a bunch of comments. And it's an example why the wrench privilege is something that should be paid attention to. RT says Smith W needs an intervention. We've already done the intervention with Smith. I've never seen a successful intervention here on YouTube. I'm just trying to accept people, but simultaneously establish healthy boundaries with them. More and more, I'm just getting rid of people. Like I said, I blocked probably 8 to 10 people yesterday. I should have blocked more, but there's 8 to 10 people that are gone now, which I like. It thins the herd. Here's the thing, everybody. Just realize this. If you're here in chat, it's because I let you chat here on my YouTube channel. If you're on my panel, it's because I let you on my panel. Plain and simple. Doesn't work any other way. That's just it. In reality, I can do a show without a panel. And I've thought about it plenty of times. Many people who are my longtime listeners, you can see my numbers peak when I'm just doing my thing. And then when I open a panel, my numbers always go down. It's not even that much of a benefit. I do it because I feel like it's a good component to the show and it feels right. At some point, it may not feel right, but now it does. So don't think here on Z Show you're like entitled to my time and my audience's time, because you're not. But anyway, much love. Cult of Culture says they're having a weird day. It's kind of weird. It was kind of weird day where I was. It's one of those days where the weather was like, blah. 53 degrees, kind of rainy, overcast. Everybody's had like that slight melancholy come up. There's Mr. One-to-One. He's here. I was just talking about you, Mr. One-to-One. I was relaying to the listeners some of the comments that you were leaving me. I didn't go into detail, only that they were quite strange. I don't know if you recall leaving them, but when you told me that you got locked up in a mental facility because you tried to, as you said, hoover, which I assume you mean like with a vacuum cleaner, you tried to hoover your brains out of your ear. Yeah, he's laughing. I don't know what you're laughing at. And you tried to hoover your brains out of your ear and you went deaf in your ear for like a couple of months. Or you had some level of hearing loss. Yeah, he says I have strange you could say strange moments. You tried to vacuum your brain out of your ear. Now I know why you were laughing so hard at Mr. Party Poet for microwaving his own head. Come to think about it, why would you laugh at him for that? The vacuuming your brains out of your ear might have been worse. Holy mackerel. He said, I more than tried, was deaf for 6 months. I don't, maybe you, do I want to hear this story? Who knows? We might have to do like a poll. What's stranger, vacuuming your ear to try to pull your brains out, or sticking your head in the microwave? I don't know. God, so strange. So weird. Dr. Eval said he's pretty much here for not just Z, but for Heidi. That makes a lot of people. Heidi has her little fan base. You could probably do something with that, Heidi. You should check out, like, there's some sites, OnlyFans, Seeking Arrangements. You could probably maybe, I don't know, do well for yourself. Rose says, how could she be deaf and not spell deaf right? Even deaf is like probably an extreme word. For one to be deaf, that's like a profound level of loss. He says his left ear still hurts a bit 2 years later. God, I don't know if I want to hear it, Mr. Wendell. Maybe I don't want to hear that story. Maybe keep that one to yourself. I get a little freaked out sometimes coming on here with some of these interactions. That's why I'm drawing hard lines on people. I realize that. I'm like, oh, okay. You want to play like that? All right, maybe we'll fire this thing up. Wait, get going with this thing. Either way, hope you're well. And if you're listening and you've been blocked recently, well, maybe you just need to think about your behaviors and your actions, and who knows, maybe you'll learn something. I mean, I didn't think I was here to like teach people like those type of lessons, but maybe that's just part of it. Maybe people can use a little insight into their behavior. It might help you, really. All right, let's get this thing going. Where's my camera? Howdy. All right, let's get this thing popping. Official opening right now. Good evening, everybody. Greetings and salutations. You found your way to Z Show. That's right, folks. It is the end of the rainbow, the bottom of the rabbit hole, and as always, we are broadcasting live and in living color around the level, horizontal, topographical plane that we all call Earth. You know it, guys and dolls. As always, we are in store for a stupendous experience here on Z Show. It's an experience like no other, right here on the interwebs. You found it, folks. We're going to give it to you straight. Really, we don't pull punches here. At least I don't. I'll speak for myself, not you. Either way, folks, climb aboard, strap on in, smoke them if you got them. It is the Z Show, and it has begun. Much love, much love. Who's here? Let me see. the lovely Sarah Breslin, and the incomparable Grant coming at us. Mr. Thunder Chicken, good to see you as always. Divine Spark 313, Heidi in the house. Marky Rizzo coming at you, much love, homie. Dr. E. Vals, good to see you. Mr. 1-to-1 says, Z, I started talking like a pirate who possessed me. It was the crazy experience of my life. Just wow. Ruled by Saturn, much love, homie. Mr. Three Fingers coming at us from the Palmetto State. The lovely Queen of Swords, welcome. Rose 777, good to see you as always. RT, the incomparable RT, much love. Angela Baby Carson, another one from the Great White North. Emilios Man, he said, is that Mandela affected? It's deaf, right? Yeah, it's deaf. David Harper, good to see you, good sir. Mr. Smith W, glad you're here, even though you are blocked. Nuba has a new icon. He has the flaming N. Not bad, Nuba. Good move on that one. And he noticed, which was funny, because the other day I said, if I ever turn like Globy, which who knows, I might do. Like I said, like if that Joe Rogan money ever comes around, that would be the move. I just turn against the flat earth community and go full globetard. I'd be the best anti-flat earther ever because I know all like the flat earthy stuff. So I'd be like perfect. So I'd go from Z to N the globetard. That would I could even come in like, I don't know, like drag. I could do my Jeffree Star voice and I could present as like a whole new person, even a whole different gender. You guys would never know. And I would just destroy the flat earth community with globetardiness. Anyway, much love, Nuba. Good to see you. Who else is here? Nobody coming at you. Cult of Culture. And so many more. Jessica Jane, much love as always. All right, ladies and germs, as always, thank you so much for being here. It is my pleasure to host this show and create an experience for what it's worth for those who find value in it. And for those who don't, I guess welcome to you too. Who knows? You might get something out of it. Either way, much love. And let's take a bit of a musical interlude. And I'll be back with more Z Show shortly. I'm going to play my new favorite song. I debuted it yesterday. And I cannot get this song out of my head. And for those of you who weren't here, you may remember the Z Show classic, Kathy Don't Go to the Supermarket. Well, this is the follow-up. And I think this song actually may be a bit superior. So for those of you who missed it yesterday, this is the follow-up to Kathy Don't Go. And it's called Watch Out for 666. The title pretty much sums it up, like what it's all about. So much love, everybody. More Z Show in a bit.
As his plan for replacing cash, checks, and credit cards with new personalized 666 barcode system were implemented, peace and order began to be re-established. Now, in tonight's program, our great world leader unveils stage 2 of his plan for the perfect world. The amazing new 666 biochip implant, guaranteeing you physical health and spiritual well-being at the punch of a computer key, plus the guarantee of lifelong security within the new 666 world order.
Watch out for 666. Watch out for 666. In a vision of the future, I saw in a vivid dream that the hour is soon coming when men will become machines. A new one world order will rise and then demand that all the world's people receive a scientific brand. I saw a time program, computer chips so thin, implanted in men's foreheads, underneath their skin, linking all its bearers to the system's central brain. The master computer that over them will reign. Watch out for 666 and their computer chip that is designed to strip you on your self-control. Don't sell your soul. Men's thoughts will be programmed by this new technology. Those who take the number, their slaves will always be. So hearken to this warning, if it's life and love you choose, then you'll follow the truth, and that mark you will refuse. Watch out for 666 and their computer chip that is designed to strip you of your self-control. Watch out for 666 and their computer chip that is designed to strip you of your self-control. Don't sell your soul. Don't sell your soul. Watch out for 666.
That's right, young man. Thank you for that expression of horror in the face of what was to come. And boy, did they have it figured out. The group who made these videos, the Kathy video and this one, they were considered like a religious cult, a Christian cult in the 80s. Turns out maybe they knew something. I like what was Angela saying? She said, Angela, baby Carson says, it makes me feel sick how long this has been going on. And why didn't our parents wake up? Yeah. But you can say that about these times. It's just worse, more severe now. But it's the same idea, the same underlying mechanism for hypnotic control over the hearts and minds of the everyday person. It's insidious because the control structure is so overarching, so entrenched, and so normalized that it's basically hiding in plain sight. How do you know what you don't know? It's like that iconic quote from the movie The Truman Show. Basically says, we accept the reality that's presented to us. And again, it just becomes normalized, standardized. We're conditioned to it. It's only when you can have the experience of some type of counter information, somebody presents or demonstrates another way, another method, and even then it becomes difficult. The weird part about the way we learn, the way we develop, is by the time we reach, let's say, the age of adolescence, our anatomy and physiology is mostly completed in terms of development. So it becomes hard then, because behaviors become entrained. You become hardwired, so to speak. And then any new software becomes difficult to implement. This appears to be the way it is for probably all of us. You can look at the ability to learn languages. A young child can learn a plethora of languages. There's children that are multilingual. They'll have 3 or 4 languages that they are fluent. Imagine, I don't know, somebody who's Spanish and Jewish and they grew up in America. They could learn 3 languages easy and be fluent by the time they're like 7 years old. Imagine trying to teach me 3 new languages right now. I couldn't do it. I probably couldn't even learn another new language. When I was in school, based on my old profession, I had to take sign language classes. A lot of the people that I worked with were deaf. They were part of deaf culture, and their primary mode of communication was sign. As hard as I tried, I couldn't pick it up, just very barely. It was like impossible for me to pick it up. So when we develop in this culture, our internal state is a product of the external influence that we are conditioned with. One of the reasons why I'm active in my thought processes, I'm consciously and continually questioning my belief system and reminding myself about the things that I've discovered, the lies of this world, because they're so clear to me on a cognitive level, on an intellectual level. I understand them. But even to this day, to emotionally, to mentally and spiritually integrate those within myself is difficult. Soffermus says Italians speak with their hands anyway. Yeah, good point. It's a little different though. The way Italians speak with their hands, it's just motions, basic expressions of usually frustration. But anyway, much love, everybody. So, yeah. So I was thinking, I was reminded that the song we just heard, Watch Out for 666, the precursor, again, Kathy, don't go to the supermarket. If you remember, at the end, there was a happy ending. She ran off into the forest and started like a community. And I had mentioned, because it reminded me, and I said, isn't it great? Like this idea of running off, starting over with like a group of people like-minded and creating a community, a village. And I was quickly reminded that those type of things haven't really worked out very well in the past. And I was reminded of a case that happened when I was young. A lot of people recall the Waco situation, the David Koresh thing. But even before the David Koresh Waco thing happened, there was an incident called the Ruby Ridge incident. Some of you may remember this. It was big news at the time, but it appears to have been lost in the distant catacombs of history. So I thought I'd like to present, in the spirit of avoiding the 666 like tyrannical New World Order control, I'd like to present what happened to some of these first truthers in the 80s, right about the time they were coming out with songs like 666. I'd like to talk about what happened to some of these people, the ones who tried to get away from the government. It turns out the government doesn't like it very much when you decide to exercise your God-given liberties, freedoms, when one decides to recognize their personal sovereignty and that of their families. I want to bring this up because this is where the rubber hits the road. People have a lot of fanciful ideas. Our friend Party Poet is continually telling us that we have $300 million in free credit cards waiting for us. And the government just, will just understand this if we say the right things and do the right things. Well, experience shows us that it might not be so easy. So why don't we get into this? This is called What Happened to the First Truthers. And it's the story of Ruby Ridge. And it was inspired by our new music from the 666 Christian Zealot cult group from the 80s. Let me pull this up. Some of this might be disturbing to sensitive viewers, so viewer discretion is advised here. All this is true. It's basically news, standardized news. I remember when this happened. But once the David Koresh thing happened and the whatever the hell they were called, it took this out of the headlines, and that became the new thing, the Waco, Texas thing. All right, let's get into this. All right. Do I have it on the screen? No, I need to do that first. All right, so Ruby Ridge. Ruby Ridge was the site of a siege of a cabin occupied by the Weaver family in Boundary County, Idaho. Idaho is a place where people still go, even to this day, to try to get away from, let's say, some of the tyranny, experience a little bit of the freedom that some states may offer. Idaho's still a location. Well, let me continue. Ruby Ridge was the site of a siege on a cabin occupied by the Weaver family in Boundary County, Idaho, in August of 1992. On August 21st, deputies of the United States Marshal Service came to arrest Randy Weaver, who was the father, under a bench warrant after his failure to appear on federal firearms charges. All right, pretty simple there. And then we'll get into it. So that's the basics of it.
Today is the 30th anniversary of the end of the Ruby Ridge siege.
Now, that 11-day siege in Ruby Ridge, Idaho began when federal agents attempted to serve a warrant to Randy Weaver. Now, Weaver was an Army veteran turned survivalist. While serving the warrant, a shootout erupted, killing Weaver's 14-year-old son and a federal agent. Also, during the siege, a FBI sniper shot and killed Weaver's wife, who was unarmed and carrying the couple's infant daughter.
So the guy lost his son, his wife in this debacle. Also, there was a life lost on the federal side. And again, he was a Marine, quote unquote, survivalist. And what did he do? What was his crime? Oh, that's right. They were surveilling his house because of a bench warrant after his failure to appear on federal firearms charges. Now, we're going to get into this in great detail, but I want to make this point. First off, it was a bench warrant on federal firearms charges. Well, let's question the lawfulness even associated with that. Are we not guaranteed explicitly under the Second Amendment with the right to bear arms? The Second Amendment, that's pretty important. They put it number 2, right after the whole free speech thing. So it's about guns. Here's my point. This man did not commit an aggressive act. He really didn't even commit a crime. Where was the loss, injury, or harm on another regarding federal firearms charges? He didn't shoot anybody. This was about private property that he owned. Very likely he just didn't register it. I don't know. I don't know the details of it. So let's just get that straight. Then the other question I have besides that is, okay, there was a bench warrant out. There's a lot of ways to arrest people. Did this man not ever go to the store for supplies? Did this man not ever leave his compound? Of course he did. They could have chosen to arrest him anywhere. But what did they do? They surrounded and committed a siege on his home, his private property. Interestingly enough, this is the exact same thing that happened in Waco, Texas with David Koresh. They were coming after him for firearms charges. It was the ATF, if you remember. Here it was the United States Marshal Service, likely because there was a bench warrant. That's why it was the Marshals. It was a federal bench warrant. Same situation, firearms charges. Same thing with David Koresh. If they wanted to get David Koresh, they could have got him any time other than committing a siege on their private compound. David Koresh would leave the compound consistently. He would go jogging. He'd go to the store. So it begs the question, why are they occupying and perpetrating sieges on people's private property? All right, let's get into this.
Weaver eventually surrendered to authorities and was acquitted by a jury on the felony weapons charges that started the siege in the first place. Randy Weaver died earlier this year at the age of 74.
The man who became a hero to the militia movement across the
So did they just say he was acquitted on firearm charges? And let me hear what they said.
Siege in the first place. Randy Weaver died earlier this year at carrying the couple's infant daughter. Weaver eventually surrendered to authorities and was acquitted by a jury on the felony weapons charges that started the siege in the first place. Randy Weaver died earlier this year at the age of 74.
The man who became a hero to the militia movement across the country has now died. Randy Weaver, dead at age 74. That's according to a social media post from his daughter, Sarah. Weaver became a household name back in 1992 when federal marshals surrounded his cabin in Ruby Ridge, Idaho. An 11-day standoff then ended with federal marshals killing Weaver's wife and his teenage son.
We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order, a world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders.
There's a shadowy
And of course, the original Bush with his famous New World Order speech. And coming from him, that says it all. You have to remember something about the original Bush president. First of all, he was a vice president under Reagan. So he had 8 years under Reagan, then 4 years of his presidency. But prior to that, he was the head of the CIA of all things. For many years, for him to come out with this New World Order narrative says something. And let us not forget his known connections to the Skull and Bones secret brotherhood. All right, let's continue.
elite of international bankers are secretly controlling the governments of the world.
They say that the people that control this world could sit around one large table and have lunch.
The theory goes that these elitists plan to create an all-powerful new world order, a world government that will destroy anyone who disobeys them. It is a theory shared by militiamen and also by an increasing number of mainstream Americans. The message spreads through underground videos and anti-New World Order talk shows.
Is there a new world order? There's a new world order.
This is the story of a family who wanted to escape from the clutches of this tyrannical elite by moving to a mountaintop in Idaho. It is also the story of how their paranoid fantasies came true. Randy and Vicky believed that an evil elite of international bankers and media moguls was secretly controlling their increasingly tyrannical government. The move to the cabin was their way of opting out. The Weaver family moved to the mountains because they were panicked by the underground videos they saw portraying their government as out of control and destroying the lives of simple people who wanted to live free.
When the guns are gone and your freedom lies shattered at your feet, 'tis when it will be far too late to say, why didn't I fight instead of sheepishly retreat?
Oh.
The family called this shadowy elite the New World Order. They thought that if they couldn't be left alone on top of a mountain in Idaho, where could they be left alone? Some of the things they believed up there might seem crazy, but they were a long way off.
Pretty neat view, huh?
It was as if Randy and Vicky's conspiracy theories were coming true. They had moved to the mountains to escape a tyrannical government, and a tyrannical government was now coming to get them. The family took to carrying guns at all times, even the children. They became increasingly convinced that the army of the New World Order was watching them from the bushes. In fact, they were being watched from the bushes.
Due to the remoteness of his location in the mountain, it was decided that we just kind of take a wait and see attitude because, again, he had 3 kids up there. And the last thing we wanted to, well, the baby came along later. And maybe in retrospect, waited too long. Of course, time went on and a year went on. And the last thing that the Marshal Service wanted to do was to get into a situation where kids could get involved. And then it still fell apart. The Marshals were up there doing the same thing they've been doing off and on for the last 3 months. And they got too close to the cabin. And the dogs...
For 3 months, 3 months they were up there in the woods. For a firearms bench warrant that he was acquitted on later. 3 months? This must have been the order of the time. If I recall, during this time, we had an attorney general named Janet Reno. I know she was involved in the Waco thing. And again, this happened in 92. It might not have been her, but whatever the feeling was inside the government, again, right around this George Bush speech regarding the New World Order, you have families like these retreating to the highlands of Idaho. Likely you had these militia groups popping up all around the country. This seemed to have been the reaction of the federal government. Again, you had this and Waco right near each other, both of them involving firearms. No crimes were committed in either case. Now, if you want to say something about David Koresh and what he may have been doing with underage children, that's a different story. But to my recollection, that's not what the initial siege was about. It was about this personal property that they had, labeled as firearms. So they were staking this guy out for 3 months. And again, it said like their paranoia came true. Imagine this family, young family, you're going about your life and you're watching these federal agents in and out of the woods for months on end. This is insane.
I got a scent of them, and the dogs started chasing. The deputies started running down the hill, and then the shots were fired.
If I'd had any idea that these federal marshals were doing, they was out there dinking around, I wouldn't have gone out there myself, but I sure as hell wouldn't have let Sam and Kevin go running and chasing that dog after federal marshals. I mean, that'd be stupid. That was stupid. But so I go down this logging road, down to the area they call the Y. I hear clunk, clunk, clunk. I look, and here's this guy jumps out in front of me, total cameled out. I mean, I saw his eyes and I saw his mouth move, and he yelled, "Freeze, Weaver!" I was yelling for the boys. Boys, get home, boys. It's an ambush, right? I heard Sam yell, "I'm coming, Dad." Boom, 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 boom. Then it opened up.
The deputy started running down the hill. Randy, Kevin Harris, and Sammy Weaver started chasing them down. The dogs started coming down. They got to a Y. The deputy stopped, and shots got fired. The dog was definitely shot.
One of the agents shot Stryker in the back and hit his spine, and little Samuel, who raised the dog from a pup, saw him run around in circles yiping and then fall dead. Sammy opened fire on the agents that had shot his dog and said, "You guys, you killed my dog." And he opened fire and shot several times. And as it turned out, he didn't hit anybody. But then when they of course fired back at him with military rifles, these automatic fire rifles, and almost cut his left arm off. Now remember, he was about the size of a 10-year-old boy, small. So they shot his left arm to where it was just hanging by the flesh. And little Samuel turned around and ran up the mountain and screamed to his dad, "I'm coming home, Dad." And at that time, my fellow officers took a MP5 machine gun and just sprayed him right up the back as he's running away and murdered him right there.
So, I mean, what happened after that?
Mom, I think it was right after that, Mom said, "We got to go get him." And so Mom and Dad went down. Kevin went with them. And I went in the house and got Elizabeth dressed. And I never saw him. They put him in the guest shed, and Dad and Mom went in and cleaned him up and wrapped him in a sheet, I guess.
Vicky Weaver wrote in her diary that night that Sam was killed while chasing the servants of the New World Order. A 400-strong army descended on the cabin. They sealed off the mountain. 2 miles away, down in the valley, the neighbors began a protest at the roadblock. Martial law was declared by the state governor. The military operation was undertaken with such stealth that besides from hearing a few sirens down in the valley, the Weaver family had no idea that their cabin was now surrounded by FBI snipers.
The next day, the other 2 dogs that we had tied up out in the yard started kind of whimpering and barking a little bit. And I thought, yep, here they come. Somebody's out there wants to talk to us. I took Sam's Mini 14. And I walked out, and bang, I got shot through the shoulder. It's like a bloody mist went out across the front of my face. I smelled that. And it went, I cussed in my mind, like this, this really hurts. And then I got my bearings and I went through my mind, they're going to murder me now. They're going to kill me now.
You can see that old cook stove laying on the platform right now. If I can see that, and he had a scope, I know he could see a lot more. He first took a shot at my dad and hit him in the back, came out through his armpit. And then, as they were running into the house, he shot my mother, and it went through her head and killed her, and the bullet then entered Kevin Harris.
Where was your mother at the time?
It'd be about exactly where she was. She was holding my little sister, who was 10 months old at the time.
So Vicky goes to the door while she's nursing little Alicia, pushes the door open frantically because she hears the gunfire. And here comes the whole family running in the door.
The bullet had come through the window in the door. Would have went through Vicky's face here and come out this, or let's see, she was facing that way. Would have come in here, out here, right over the baby's head, and into Kevin. Kevin's coming in, it went in his left arm. And the main part of the bullet broke two ribs and stopped about this far from his heart.
That was an excellent shot, but a very sad day for America when one of my fellow officers and soldiers has to shoot a mother holding her little baby.
I turn around, there's Vicky. She's climbing down on her knees and her head.
I think it was Dad picked Alicia up out from underneath Mom and handed her to me. And she had blood and stuff all over her head, and we were afraid that she had gotten hit too, but she was okay. It was just Mom's blood.
The family locked themselves in the cabin for over a week. Nobody but the Weavers and the FBI knew that Vicky had been killed.
How many of you against one is there, huh?
I remember hearing people underneath the house rustling through our stuff. I remember the floodlights coming through the cracks of the curtains and hearing they're stupid, whatever they are, half tracks or whatever, rolling over stuff in the yard. They crunched our generator. They ran over our outhouse. Not to mention, down at the Y where everything happened, after they shoot the dog and my brother, they ran over the dog. It's just sick.
Baby killers!
2 miles down in the valley, the protest at the roadblock had swelled to thousands. People travelled from across America to support the Weavers. Jack McLam and Bo Greitz were in the crowd. Jack and Bo are both ex-military officers who've jumped ship and become heroes to the anti-government activists.
What we had was, I'd never seen so many FBI, DEA agents, U.S. Marshals. We had armored personnel carriers, and then they were all dressed in military uniforms with Kevlar. This is America. What is going on here?
Every day they would shout at us through the bullhorn or loud thing, or whatever you call it. And they'd say, Vicky, tell Randy to pick up the phone. And Dad would scream out, you son of a bitches, you shot her or whatever. You know she's dead. And they'd never answer us.
How much will you compromise? What do you do? How many dead patriots will you bury?
It was a week into the siege. The FBI had failed to convince the Weavers to come out, so they invited Jack and Bo up the mountain to talk with Randy and his daughters through the cabin walls.
Bo Greitz and Jack McLam walking across the bridge across Ruby Creek, heading to Randy's mountain house.
Later that night, Jack and Bo came back down the mountain to tell the protesters what they'd learnt.
I want all of you in the vigil to join your hands. I want you to get close, and I want you to get warm. I've got good news, and I've got bad news. The good news is that we went right up to the top of the hill and established an immediate dialogue like I knew we could with Randy. Wasn't any problems at all. This communication is going to continue. I want your hands joined. That's an order. I got a reason for it. The bad news, and get a grip on yourself, is that Vicky was killed. Damn. And most unfortunate thing, apparently she was killed on Saturday. Wonderful mother has had her life taken, and she's in God's hands as we speak.
The siege at Ruby Ridge lasted for 10 days. Every morning, Bo and Jack would return up the mountain to talk to the family through the cabin walls.
We're trying to calm them down, get them to stop crying, and to focus on something else other than their mother laying up underneath the kitchen table in a pool of blood. And so basically we spent the morning talking to them about the need to come out and take it to court. We knew then they had one fantastic case in court against this government. Oh my goodness. There's something in law enforcement called jury appeal. And when you machine gun a little boy running away from you and shoot a mother holding a baby in the head, you got jury appeal.
It was 11 days into the siege that Bo and Jack finally convinced the family to take their case to court.
Well, the door opened and he come out. Oh, I tell you, boy, I just about get tears in my eyes now thinking about it. It was wonderful to see these little girls take off their weapons, and little tiny little girls, you know, wearing weapons against their own government. I mean, where should that be proper? And it was the saddest days of my life was spent on the top of that mountain when I realized that my fellow police officers and soldiers are capable of that, you see, that I served with. I never would have believed that, never would have believed it, you know. And so it was a great awakening for Bo and me. And that's why there's so many people today in America and people in uniform that are speaking out against this damnable world system that's being set up that will do that to people at will.
In the end, Randy was charged with murder, conspiracy and assault, but the trial was a disaster for the government. The judge said that the government had shown a callous disregard for the Weavers' rights. The FBI say they didn't know Vicky Weaver was behind the door when they fired into the cabin. They say her death was an accident and not the actions of a bloodthirsty government controlled by a shadowy elite called the New World Order. The Weavers moved to the mountains because of their fantasies about a shadowy elite coming to get them, and in a sense their conspiracy theories came true. The American militia movement was formed that week at the roadblock at Ruby Creek, convinced that a shadowy elite plans to do to the world what they did to the Weavers. Some say that the demonization of Randy Weaver as a white supremacist is thematic of the New World Order's tactics, that they falsely accuse anyone of anti-Semitism who gets too close to the truth.
A new world order, a world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order.
Ruby Ridge, everybody. Of note, after this was done, the father was facing the murder charges. They found the government, quote, showed callous disregard for the rights of the family. And that's what it really comes down to. The callous disregard of their rights. This is such a deep rabbit hole when you get into this. We talked yesterday of the act, the Federal Act of 1871, and how it established the District of Columbia within the boundaries of Washington as a corporation existing outside of the dictates of the Constitution and under a Roman law. So we find conflict with the bureaucracy and the actions of this federal government in relation to the rights and freedoms guaranteed through the Constitution. This is the crux of the legal lawful argument. Because something can be illegal based on a number of things: procedure, court precedent, code, policy, but that doesn't necessarily make something unlawful. What was unlawful about this family's behavior? So again, the finding that there was callous disregard in relation to their rights seems to be appropriate. And then at the end, they noted that this was the beginning of the militia movement. It's about when it really took off, which makes me wonder. I start to see the controlled opposition, the dialectic that they play with these events. Because now we have this militia movement that we've seen grown over these decades. Look how it culminated on that day, on January 6th, 2021, in D.C., in the so-called siege on the Capitol building. Was basically a militia movement, more or less. So we find this opposition between what we're presented with regarding our nation versus the practice of this corporatized U.S. Incorporated. And this is the crux of it. Either way, fascinating. Fascinating things. Yeah, it's wild. All right, let me take a musical interlude. I need to play the song again. How could I not? Where's my 666 song? I actually like this song. Maybe I'll do a cover. Maybe I'll do a piano cover of 666. And we'll get Nathan to sing it. That would be very strange. I need to do research on the group that made these songs. Who wrote the songs? Who choreographed the videos? Who produced it? Did they hire like a professional band to like produce the song? I have so much that I want to know.
As his plan for replacing cash, checks, and credit cards with new personalized 666 barcode system were implemented, peace and order began to be re-established. Now, in tonight's program, our great world leader unveils stage 2 of his plan for the perfect world. The amazing new 666 biochip implant, guaranteeing you physical health and spiritual well-being at the punch of a computer key, plus the guarantee of lifelong security within the new 666 world order.
Watch out for 666. Watch out for 666. In a vision of the future, I saw in a vivid dream that The hour is soon coming when men will become machines. A new one world order will rise and then demand that all the world's people receive their scientific brand. I saw a tiny pre-programmed computer chip so thin, implanted in men's foreheads underneath their skin, linking all its bearers to the system's central brain. The master computer that over them will reign. Watch out for 666 and their computer chip that is designed to strip you on your self-control. Don't sell your soul. Men's thoughts will be programmed by this new technology. Those who take the number, their slaves will always be. So hop into this morning, if it's life and love you choose, then you'll follow the truth, and that mark you will refuse. Watch out for 666 and then computer chip that is designed to strip you of your self-control. Watch out for 666 and then computer chip that is designed to strip you of your self-control. Don't sell your soul. Don't sell your soul. Watch out for 666. No!
Yeah, coming at you. Much love, everybody. Yeah, the 666 song is catchy. I need to know more. I'm not joking about that. I need to find out everything I can about that song. Maybe I can bring him here on Z Show. We could do like an interview. Who wrote it? I want to know everything about it. Like, where are they now? Because those kids that were in there doing their little choreographed dancing, they're like older than me. Emilios Man says, do it. I have a lot of things I want to do. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of time. I have a lot of things I want to do. I have a lot of projects. The other project I have on my queue is to do like a documentary regarding my high school advanced calculus teacher, who was the first person to ever say to me that the earth is flat. And I remember it. I remember it very clearly because we laughed at him. We just thought he was an old man who was crazy. But in the back of my head, I'm like, he doesn't seem crazy. He's actually super smart. And now I want to know everything about him. His name was Mr. Lin. He was my senior year high school advanced calculus teacher. That's right. I was in advanced calculus, guys. Just saying. Anybody who wants to think otherwise. And he said to us, he said it actually a few times. And he was very confident. He would just say it very plainly. He's like, oh, the earth is flat. He would say it just like that. Cult of Culture says that would be very cool. Yeah. So the very high likelihood is that he's passed on at this point because I'm going on my 40th year class reunion soon. I graduated in 96, so believe it or not. And so he's probably gone. He was an older guy then. It was his last year. He was retiring. It was his final year. So I don't know if he made it like a practice to tell people that the earth was flat, or he just didn't care because he was retiring and he decided, what the hell? Yeah, that's it, D'Angelo. Finding Mr. Lin. Finding Mr. Lin. So I want to know what's like going on with that whole thing. Yeah, thank you, Sarah. 30 years. I'm dating myself a little more than I should. Yeah, thank you, Sarah. After I said it, I was like, oh, I was off a decade. I didn't feel like going back, but thank you. 30 years. God, it'll be 30 years soon. So I want to talk to his family. I want to say, hey, did you know, like, Grandpa was a flat earther and that there's like a bunch of us now, like all over the place? It's like a thing. Yeah, Snowfire. No, 30 years. My 30-year class reunions. I don't know why I said 40. Probably because I'm 45 and just 40 was in my mind. So I want to like do the whole thing. And who knows? And I could like make it a thing. It's a lot of work. And I don't want to be like intrusive, but I feel like it's important. Because here I am, like I come on the internet, which is accessible to anybody in the world. And I every night preach about the level horizontal topographical plane that is the reality demonstrably of this earth. So just the way it is. Yeah, much love, everybody. Looks young. Yeah, I'm 45. I'm not 55. Good one. All right, let me bring up my first guest. I have a guest back here. My first guest is Mr. Harmon. Let's welcome. Harmon, welcome to Z Show.
Thank you for letting me on.
Howdy.
And hello, chat. You guys are great. Yeah, the Ruby Ridge thing was one of the first things that really got me into it. And you refreshed me because some of the stories changed in my mind through the time. So you got me back into the government story that they told us in that video. So, yeah, it was first they tried when I studied about it back in the 90s. They first tried to get him on taxes. And they didn't even mention that in that part. Then they tried to get him on the same thing they did to David Koresh with the firearms.
Is the firearms. Well, interestingly enough, Harmon, even in the Wikipedia article that I referenced, it's just Wikipedia, they didn't bring up the tax thing either. It was all about the firearms. They glanced over that.
Right. So I was wondering why that didn't happen, but who knows? Anyway, so then, so the attorney general was fired after that, and then
Was it
that's
Janet
when
Reno or was it the prior attorney
it
general?
was prior to Janet Reno. Or after that was who Janet Reno replaced that person.
But Janet
And then-
Reno was the one for Waco.
Right. She was just put in like in 93, I think it was. And Waco, I believe, I just go off the top of my head, was like 94. And I was so mad at that one because I just right out of the military for 9-10 years overseas and stuff in the Middle East. And we had scopes that could look through, not scopes, but we had things that could look through like maybe a foot thick cement wall, and you could see body heat behind it. You could see things that were heated. Might not all been bodies, could have been the stove or whatever. Waco had plywood, and they said they didn't know where anybody was. Yeah, okay. So it was bad. And so I used to complain to my buddies at work. I said, so they have these incidents like Ruby Ridge, like that. And it goes back to my dad when he was running moonshine. So they've been doing this forever to people. It's just some make the news. And so then, but within 6 weeks, the program they would do, they'd throw out a Monday night movie special on the situations that happened to persuade the people to do. And David Koresh, they threw the child molestation on him big time. And the Ruby Ridge, I don't know if the movie brought up the taxes or not on him, but they used to do that. Everything had come out within 6 weeks. You had the Monday night movie special, and you're probably a little too young or you weren't paying attention at that time, and that was just that's how they did it. They did their fuck up and they put the movie out within 6 weeks, and the whole United States was satisfied with the movie it came out.
Right. Well, even the Waco thing, they portrayed it, I would say maybe 5 years ago now, in like popular TV. It was a miniseries where they presented the Waco thing, and they focused on the the underage thing.
Right.
Which again, that's not the reason for the warrants. Like you said, the same thing like with the taxes on this Ruby Ridge guy. They went in because of the firearms. That was
Right.
whatever the leverage that they used. Apparently, this guy was a bench warrant for federal firearms charges. So I don't know what the deal was with this guy. If he was, moving these firearms, I don't know what his deal was. But yeah, I'm looking now. There's nothing about taxes, which is interesting.
And what you call
What does it-
also, the officer that was killed at Ruby Ridge, I think his name was Deegan, if I'm not mistaken. And because it was big at the time. And I was, I just waking up to that shit. I was like 32, 33 years old. And you're just saying, what the hell's going on? And they don't even can't prove who shot Deegan. Yeah, I think I just always take the side of against the government. I think he's killed by friendly fire. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, what's friendly about that? But did you know that the Ruby Ridge guy, the government had to pay him $3.5 million for a settlement?
Oh, he sued. There was a settlement. Interesting.
Yeah, there was a settlement, $3.5 million they paid him. Yeah, that's the price for his wife and his son.
Yeah, the
Lit him
whole,
up
whole
with a
thing is
machine gun,
insane.
huh? Yeah.
Well, they murdered the son. First, they shot the dog, and I've even seen this with the police officers, where they'll come on somebody's property, and they'll end up killing the dog. This is common.
Yeah,
You know,
it happens a lot.
Yeah, sometimes they'll spray the dogs now, like they'll spray, but they'll just shoot the dogs, and it provokes the owners. And this kid obviously reacted. I don't know. I sometimes I wonder, did this family bring this upon themselves? Where's the line? There's so many ways to look at it. What? Either way, it can't be argued. You can't argue that there wasn't government overreach here. But I watched it's again. Then I start to think about the dialectic. Like, how many families right now do they have playing into this dialectic where they're basically at war with the government, and maybe with good reason. I saw the whole debacle in 2020 go down, and that's given me new perspective on everything. I watched families who went along with the program, and I watched other families who packed up. They moved to maybe other states that are more conservative, less progressive, so to speak, or they have started to disconnect from the government. So I don't have kids. I don't know how I would train them. I don't know how I would teach them. I kind of have the luxury to be sort of on my own when it comes to this, but I do have family members, and I don't know how the kids should be really trained regarding these things. So the whole thing's messed up.
You know the Bundys? The Bundys.
Who, like Al
No.
Bundy and Peg?
No.
and-
This is just recent, and they killed his son, protecting his land from Nevada. They're from Nevada, free grazing land, and they were fighting against them. I think it took it all the way to Oregon anyway. So federal agents blew his son away. He was like probably in his 40s. Mr. Bundy was in his 60s. That's just recent. It happened. That's real recent, and so they're still doing that. Anytime you try to get land in Nevada, it goes back to the Constitution and stuff, where they took all our rights away with the Constitution. So Nevada, 75% of all land in Nevada belongs to the federal government. So they have what you call open range, and I'm not knowing so much about this, but they said, oh, he's on the open range feeding his cattle on federal land, and he needs to pay for it and stuff like this. Big long stink. I can't believe. See how well they hide it. This is within the last 6-7 years, and they just killed his son. So I don't know if someone in the chat could look up when they killed Bundy's son. I bet you it's no later than 18, and see how well they cover it up. Z.
Yeah, well, see, as you're saying, I'm starting to recall it because I'm remembering the fallout now about the federal land, the right of free ranging and things like that. Well, a lot of the story now on the federal land is the government purchases this land, or they set this land aside because they're usually hiding something on it. Like a lot of these national parks apparently have a lot of ancient archaeology located there that they're hiding, like the Grand Canyon. This is a huge rabbit hole with this national land. It goes crazy.
When the Constitution was put in 1792, I think it was, well, under Washington's running, that's how he ran. He ran under the Constitution to get rid of the Articles of Confederation, which gave all power to the states. The government couldn't come in and do anything unless the state said okay. But once the Constitution was put in, now the federal government had rights over the land in the states. And that's why I say the Constitution took away all our rights, and they gave back what they wanted. And that's just a simple version to understand for the layman.
Right,
So,
there's a lot. Like we reviewed the other day, the Paris Treaty that ended the Revolutionary War in 1783, basically still acknowledged that the King of England was sovereign over the Americas.
Right.
He basically was able to maintain his royal sovereignty, and we continued to pay him reparations for the war. This was all done in the Treaty of Paris. You can look it up, of 1783, and then so many other things. But it seems like, Harmon, they just took more and more bites slowly to erode the rights and freedoms. I talked about the Act of 1871 that established DC as a corporation, and then, to me, the big enchilada was the Federal Reserve Act of 1913. Which basically sold us out to the banksters at that point. It took us off the gold and silver standard. We basically turned it over to the banksters in return for entry into their fiat money system. And that, to me, was the death blow. And that was well over a century now.
Yeah, that was like 1913, but they were doing it during Lincoln's time. We only know the stories they tell us. Jekyll Island one was the 1913. I know that one is where they did that, and ties into everything, and people were out of Congress and stuff, and they did it in December. Well, no one could do anything about it. Yeah, I mean, people think you can fight. All these guys have these guns. They do all this stuff. We had that 2020 incident, and all these people with all these guns and stuff are going to fight the tyrannical government. Went in there and wore masks. And didn't do a damn thing on the whole. Yeah, all these survivalists. Yeah.
Well, Harmon, you know why? Because they don't understand. It's like all these people who are, like, let's say, sovereign minded, that believe in space and NASA and stuff. They can't separate that the government is also involved with all these things: academia, medicine. It's all one system. So you're
Right.
exactly right. That's the cognitive dissonance, is that they're ready to fight the government, but they're still putting masks on their face because they're afraid of a fucking germ. Or, they're still thinking we're going to the moon because, hashtag NASA. It's total cog diss, man. It's insane.
Anyway, so we could talk about that. I mean, I was studying that so much in the 90s. I got so tired. I got a lot of friends that had money. Not a lot. I say 5 friends. To me, that's a lot of friends for me. And so they would have their money and stuff, but they knew they had to go 7 miles off the shoreline of the United States, and you can operate supposedly international waters, and you can change your money and make it gold and silver belong to you. Because even if you buy gold and silver by the law that they've created, which doesn't make the law right, it's just their law, it will be still belong to the federal government. So you have to do the dealing. They still do offshore. That's why you heard of offshore accounts and stuff like that, because it has to be, at the time in the 90s, it had to be 7 miles off the shore of any continent.
Right.
And I was all into it. And it gets deep,
I was into that too. When you get into things like what's called the allodial title, it's a different title ship under things where you don't have to register, because technically, if you purchase something under a certain district, which is basically the U.S., it's registered to basically the English monarchy. So, but there's ways around it. There's a thing called an allodial title, but I think all of it's a trap. It's like our friend Party Poet, it's everything to me has a catch. And the movement where people are changing their status with the government, to me, you're just playing deeper into their game. If you don't want to acknowledge the government, don't acknowledge the government. If you try to get your paperwork in order with the government, you're just simply acknowledging their existence.
Yeah, you're making a validity of the government. It's valid.
Yeah, and look who's here, right on cue. Party Poet.
All these survivalists.
Party Pooper, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, unfortunately. Look, I'm not really too happy with you. And frankly, Mr. Harmon, I'm not that thrilled with you either right now. So let's just be honest. I'm not very thrilled with either of you guys.
Oh, because
if you
your
could tell
friend
me
Josh?
why you're unhappy.
Why, Party Poet? Well, Party Poet, if you were in chat, I don't know where you are. I would have banned you like I did everybody else. But I don't know your name in chat.
Oh.
Yeah, Party Poet, I'm going to ban your ass. So who are you in chat so I could ban you?
Oh,
Hello?
That's a good question. I'm looking it up right now. Could be one of many names.
All right, so you don't what do you chat as in my chat, or do you?
I don't think I ever chat in your thingy.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I would have picked up if you were in there.
You want to ban me? You want me to go?
Yeah, I don't really want to talk to you, man. I'm like over you. You fucking pissed me off last night. A lot of people did. So I really don't have time for you.
It would be nice to know what I did.
Why would I give you? You tell me why. Why would I feel a certain way? Come on, cough it up. Why do you think that I don't really fucking want to deal with you? Go ahead.
Well, whatever I say won't be what you're thinking. I guarantee you that. So
well, just say it. Say the thing that you think I'm thinking.
I think you're thinking that I'm pushing some illegal concept on people and trying to get them to go to jail.
No, that's just part of it. I didn't like how you were all like bigoted and homophobic towards my friend Joshua. So I don't have time for people like that up here. So explain to me why I should let you.
So everybody who basically isn't into the trans movement, you want to ban.
No, it's that people who can't be respectful, people who can't be courteous, and people who don't have common decency. I don't have time for.
What did I say?
It's a privilege to be on my panel, Party Poet. More people watch me when it's just me monologuing. So it's not. I don't need these open panels.
No,
dude.
I'm just trying to understand what I did.
It's your privilege to be here, dumb. Go back and watch it.
Watch what? I don't even know what I did. Honestly, I don't know what I did. And I was being very nice to the trans movement. I didn't call anybody names.
No, he told you the reason he hung up on you. If you don't remember, he said, "Quit talking about Jaron's kid," and you just kept right on. So he cut you off.
Sorry, that was a faux pas on my part.
And there was that exactly.
Oh,
that was the final straw.
Oh, that was the final straw.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. You want me to go now?
No, I just think you're a goof.
For what?
For what? For so many things.
Well, basically, if you take out the trans movement, that's not my fault. And the fact that I'm trying to get people to go to jail for getting their.
All right, I'm bored of you.
Anyway, real quick, Dave put out a new one on his videos today, and then there was this girl in college who did a flat Earth movement conspiracy for her thesis, whatever it was, and she did a 30-minute video. And she had 3 professors, and then she had Dave. Dave was the third guy in the video, but it was not a hit piece. She gave Dave full latitude to say what he wants, and she didn't cut him out or anything. Matter of fact, she edited things good to make it go smooth. And the professors were just, just terrible. Anyway, so I was thinking, and then they said something that triggered me, or one of the professors, because they were being so dumb. One was believing in the Coriolis effect. One said that we're dangerous and it's going to lead to us destroying the world, that we're going to be radicals and everything else, and that we're very dangerous. That was one of the
course, and said they could shut us all up. They could shut Z up and shut you up and Jaron and Dave and everybody else, and it gives them an excuse.
And then I was happy to hear Dave mention in one of his latest videos, he says, I was starting to think, I don't think we can go much higher than 26 miles. And I was so happy when he finally said that. And Jaron has said it, and even Melodome has said it now.
Well, I've been saying it a lot here, and all 3 of the people you just mentioned watch my show. You know that, right? And I've been saying it a lot, so.
And I always tell them that when was it 19, I think it was, when I was calling to the shows, and they would call me, the balloon boy, and they make fun of me, but it was in jest, I know that. So anyway, one thing I was thinking, that people say always, is this a psyop? Was it planted by the government for us to find it, right? The first Go Fast rocket was the very first one was 2004, but there was no video and stuff much like that. Was the 2012 is the famous one. It was in 2012, and then I'm thinking, if they put that out, it was 2012 or 14. Anyway, it was before the whole movement game, and so all the balloons that go 120,000 feet up in the air, and we can't see nothing. And it's just like the air is so thick you can't see the Earth at all. You've noticed that?
Well, yeah, you're saying you can't see the ground, the geography underneath. Yeah.
Right. And like the time when I was studying the Project Manhunt and stuff, those guys would say after like 60,000 feet, it got so pitch dark above them and all they could see was the light below. And so the Go Fast rocket supposedly went 73 miles up. And you can look back and see the ground and everything, like there's nothing there. But in all the balloons and the ones that we know we can pretty much validate, you can't see the ground ever, not even close.
So what do you think the high altitude imagery that they're passing off of satellites, what do you think that is?
Oh, that, who knows?
Like when they show satellite pictures and shit, like Google this and Google that.
Because we can't, and then the flat earthers say, well, we can't, they never let us get a chance to take a picture of the whole, you can't take the picture of the whole Earth. The highest we can go is 26 miles. The most that you can get is that. If you can only go 26 miles, you're never going to get a picture of where we're at. Ever.
Right. Well, that's what Globers tell me. The thing that Globers tell me, they go, oh, well, I if I can go to space, then I'd know. That's what they constantly say. If I can just go, I wish I can go high enough, and then I'd be able to decide. This is the refrain, as if that's the only way to like measure a thing is to see it.
Right.
It's optics anyway. It's cuckoo.
Yeah. So I just realized thinking we can't see the ground. I don't know I wonder what height it is. They never, like when Baumgartner and all went up, they never show the pictures going up. They never point down, if you notice that.
Well, they always limit everything. His whole thing was so cuckoo. It's a whole rabbit hole.
Why don't we have a camera on the bottom of these weather balloons either, shooting downwards. We never do. I've never seen that picture. Have you?
No, the whole thing's wild. I have a bunch of clips I'm going to play in the future with these weather balloons and how they launch them and what they might be doing. And they say they can't keep them up in the air for very long, but they're working on it. Like they say they can only stay up for like, I don't know, 20 days or 30 days.
No, they've got them over a year now. I studied that a whole lot. I went into how they made it. The first ones only last they were lucky to last 5 days. The 3 days they were excited. And that was when they first started. And now they're up to it. They're almost up to a year because they did this. The new ones have a balloon inside of a balloon. And that's how they do it. They can raise and lower it by making the balloon inside more expanded or less expanded. And that's how they bring them up and down now. And they got the C1.
I got you.
You understand how that works?
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. They get the balloon inside of a balloon. And so once they figured that out and how to do that, it went from maybe a week to a month to 3 months to a year now. I mean, they've perfected it. And that's starting from the 60s.
Yeah, that's wild. Well,
anyway,
listen, so Harmon, hold on. So I like you up here, dude. You're a great contributor to the show, but I currently have you on my banned list.
That's okay.
So,
I don't blame you.
So I don't know, man. Like, you know, I mean, I could leave it up to the crowd, but the crowd always votes to take people off the banned list. So I have to stop asking people because they're softies. If I go to the crowd, of course, everybody's going to say take Harmon off. But in a way, I have to lay the law around here because I banned a shitload of people yesterday. And you at least had the fucking balls to come up here and act normal, which gets my respect. So I respect that. See, look, right, they're saying Harmon fucking stays. You see, I knew it was going to come. Look here, Emilios, man, GZ, too much banning, unban Harmon.
Don't worry, Chad. I got upset with him one time, and I didn't tell him or nothing. I just didn't watch him for about a week or so, and then I realized, that was silly. Everybody's allowed mistakes, and so you go back and you listen to him, and you take it for the good. So everybody does that. If you pull the trigger too quick, then you're thinking, "Oh, why did I do that?"
So I'll contemplate on banning you, Harmon, but Flow State is staying banned. Flow State, you're banned. I mean, he can come up here and talk to me, but I don't think he'll do it. He doesn't seem like the kind of guy who'll come up and have a convo with me. But Flow State, you're banned. And so many other people.
Oh, Flow State will come up. Flow State will come up.
Yeah, he might.
Yeah, he would. But anyway, someone was, Chuck on Flow's channel the other day saying, I put Z in his place one day. I go, Chuck, you never put Z in his place at all. There's no way you could handle Z. That's what I told him.
Well, his whole thing is the first time I met him, Harmon, was this was when maybe my first week coming online. And it was on Sovereign Soul Dave's channel. And he was there with Joe Cool. And I went into the flat earth thing. And of course they were doing their thing where they just make fun of me and laugh at me. So things got heated. And I think I mentioned that I drank a beer with dinner. So then the whole narrative,
you said you were drunk. Yeah.
Right. So then the whole narrative that Sovereign Soul kept telling everybody was that I'm this drunk and I'm fucked up. And with the funny thing, Harmon, it was the one time I ever drank a beer and came online. And after that experience, I never did it again. Because I don't want people to even have that on me. And the thing is, because I used to drink a beer, I would eat street tacos and stuff. I'd work all day outside. I would get some tacos. I got a lot of good Mexican places near me, these street tacos. And on the way home, I'd get a beer or a 6-pack and drink a beer from it, with my meal. I don't even do that anymore. So now, even to this day, Chuck will talk about how drunk I was and how he obliterated me as if that could ever even happen. Go figure.
I laughed at him yesterday when he said that. I said, ain't no way in the world you can hold a candle to Z. So I said, just stop that story now, I told him.
All right, so I'm going to put it to the chat. All right, pay attention, everybody, and vote for real. Put a 1 in the chat if Harmon stays and he gets let out of Z jail. 2 in the chat if he needs to stay in jail. I'll put it to the chat, even though I know how they're going to vote. But this is the very Pontius Pilate thing I do, because I wash my hands of it, Harmon, and that way, whether you come back or not, I'm absolved of all responsibility. All right, literally everybody's giving you a 1. Right, Cult of Culture says who's going to openly put it 2. Some people will, but apparently not for Harmon. He appears to be universally liked. Yeah. Ooh,
No, ruled by Saturn gave me a 2.
Ruled by Saturn. I wish you were a panelist and you can come up and explain why. And here's the thing, Harmon, he's not even a Joshua fan. Ruled by Saturn doesn't like Joshua. This was all about Joshua, everybody, if you just want to know. Just know that Joshua has an open key to this panel whenever he wants. So if people don't like that, maybe go find another show to watch. Just maybe go do that. Look who's here, Harmon.
Who's here?
What is it?
I told you he would come up. I knew.
What is this? Is this an attention gimmick?
Welcome to the show, Mr. Flow.
Thank you. I heard that I'm banned.
You're banned. I banned a lot of people. You were on the banned list.
Is this the great door slamming?
Well, I didn't like how a number of people reacted to our friend Joshua. So I drew a hard line. And I dusted like 10 to 12 people.
Who gives a fuck how people respond to Josh?
I do.
Okay.
I do. I care.
Well, Josh is creepy and weird, but if you want your creepy weird dude, it's not my show, so it's not.
See, you did it again. You did it again. You could have said, "Oh, you know what? He's a nice young man, and I get it. I understand."
I'm not going to do you dishonest like that.
He's part of the Panelverse. He was on another show today, which you may or may not know of, but the chat informed me. He was on Illumitommy's. So Josh is here to stay, and I'm not going to have people disparage him.
I'm not trying to remove him. I'm not going to act like I like him. If this is the threshold for how to not get door slammed by Z, if you're trying to corner me into saying, okay, Josh is welcome and I love him, ain't going to work.
All right. I'm going to have to think about this one. Give me time to think about this. There's a bunch of people who are on this list. I don't see them coming up. Flow State, at least you had the balls to come up and do it. No, if he was watching, he'd be up here, Snowfire. We're talking about Josh. Josh is a panelist now in the metaverse. It's just the way it is. He's 18 now, so there's no stopping anybody. Yeah, exactly. Exactly, Morgan. All right. The link's in the chat for any other band people who want to come up. Yeah. I love the people that were trying to say Josh is 11. No. Josh is 18, and Josh is on multiple shows now. So you guys better fucking just know your role, really. Oh, look who's here. Goblin's here. The Goblin King. Goblin, you're a weird guy. I kind of like you, but sometimes I don't know what to think of you, man. Welcome to Z Show.
Hey, what's happening? I just stopped in for a hot second. I wanted to ask you this. You're talking about our buddy Josh from early panel days, right? Or no?
Yeah, Josh, he's back, dude. He showed up after a year, Goblin.
The X Factor, right?
The X Factor kid, yeah.
I have no problem with that, bro. I have no problem with that. I was just checking, man. Hope you have a good evening. I'm watching.
Blessings. That's Goblin, everybody. He has a theme song on Z Show. I haven't played it in a while. Appeal to Your Senses says, I thought Josh was being rude to Harmon first. No, Appeal to Your Senses. No, you need to watch that again. Stop it. Get over yourself. So here's the thing, Mars Life. In reality, I believe Josh is 18, Mitch. You might disagree with it, but I believe he's 18 years old. He very likely has a certain type of syndrome that prevents him from developing maturity, like in his facial features. But I've done investigations in other people about his age, and I would bet he's 18. And here's the thing, Mars Live. The threshold age for using YouTube is 13. 13. If his parents allow him to use YouTube, which they obviously do because we've seen them, many people here have heard them in the background, it's 13. And here's the other thing I want to say to everybody. I'm not ashamed of my channel or the things that we talk about here. I want the whole world to be watching these channels, my channel, and to understand these things. So I don't understand the mindset that the topics discussed here would be somehow verboten to even an adolescent. We're not rude and crude here. There's nothing pornographic about my channel at all. We talk about history and science. And yes, there's some adult-like talk, but none of it is pornographic by any means. So I don't understand those things. Do you guys not understand, or do you not value what we're all doing here in some way? You guys all have a weird cog disc going on. Yeah, Mars Life. His parents do appear to be trapped. I got some people. I got Rose back here. Oh, I just lost Rose. Rose, were you up here? I don't know if she could hear me, but I'll put the link in again. Let me put it back in. Let's set up Mike Cargo. Hey, Mike, welcome back to Z Show.
Z, can you hear me?
Howdy, welcome back.
Can you hear me? It just, my screen looks black.
I can hear you loud and clear, but it is a black screen.
Interesting. Cool. Yeah, no, I was listening to you earlier when you were going over the Ruby and Waco incidents. Don't have much to add for that because, like, my perspective on it is, like, they made movies about it. They made TV series about both of them. You had the actual reporting. You have so much different stuff going on. I can't make sense out of it, you know, in a way that I could really know what was really going on. What do you think about that statement?
Well, it's like anything, man. It's hard to separate the fact from fiction, truth from, from lies, but it appears to be everything that seems to be presented on this high level has some degree of fuckery to it. But
yeah, I agree.
I mean, we've seen so many things that I don't even know if we can talk about, like the Captain Hook event that many of us saw some years ago now, and other things.
Yeah, I've
9/11.
witnessed YouTube back in before Trump got elected. We were allowed to talk about anything we wanted, basically. And for some reason, he was used as like a linchpin to get censorship on YouTube to be a thing. And it doesn't seem that bad anymore, though. So I think it's something's, different these days.
Well, I would agree that you see like ebbs and flows in the censorship regarding these social media platforms. And I agree with that. Right now, they seem to be a little bit more liberal and open with these things, but who knows? I'm not sure. How can you squelch like the tidal wave of social media personalities and shows, and there's all kinds of people saying all kinds of things. So where would they even draw the line, and what's acceptable, what's not, what is allowed to be said and what isn't? There's so many people saying so many things, and I think it just comes in waves. It's very strange. I can't keep track of it either. But I mean, maybe there's certain things that they allow and other things that they can't. The thing that YouTube has come down on me, the second video I ever made a year ago was it was like a 40-minute rambling video that I did where I was playing a character named Jim Bob. And I had mentioned that the election, the Biden-Trump election, this last one, I had said something about it like being wonky and like not quite right. And they deleted my video because of that, because I questioned the validity of the presidential election, which was so strange to me.
There was definitely something real about people getting censored for supporting Trump, which, I mean, I've watched you enough to know that I'm kind of on the same page as what you believe about Trump. And so it's kind of curious to me that maybe there's something I don't know about what's actually going on at these echelons where they're trying to bring something about.
Yeah, it's here's the way I look at it, Mike. Nothing is simple and nothing appears to be as it seems. There's levels of effery going on with this whole reality that it appears to be labyrinthian and fractal in nature. So nothing is as it seems. And the more I understand about the way this place functions, the deeper it actually gets. And I just keep going back to the same underlying message that the analogy of the pyramid seems to be apt, and that when you get to the top of the pyramid and you have that elevated illuminated capstone, that appears to mean something. Whatever they were trying to encode in that, whatever the top of the capstone is, my feeling and mindset is that it's of a fallen nature. And I see this narrative of either these fallen angels or these entities or beings or whatever they are that are interacting with man at some point. That seems to be the underlying story that runs through humanity, is our interaction with these angelic beings. Maybe they're, quote unquote, extraterrestrial, meaning not from the earth that we know. It's other dimensions. I don't know. It's hard for me to go with there, but to me, that's why I think this is like spiritual, conscious, metaphysical.
See, let me ask you this
mental.
question. When you have like a guy that you find on YouTube that you're like, oh, I like his stuff, he's got some cool stuff, and he's explicitly a globe earther, what do you think about that?
All right. So, God, there's so many. One of my great, let's say, chagrins at this point is that it's very difficult for me to listen to a modern day anybody who still understands the globe. So I have a threshold. If I'm listening to like some guy from like 1991 or Jordan Maxwell from like 1987, I could overlook some of those things. But now I do have a bias, man, because
I do too. I don't know if it's a good bias to have, though.
Well, it's very limiting, man.
I don't
All right,
actually know what the Earth looks like from outer space. I've never been to outer space.
Right.
So
But yet
I know
you have this
that-
bias.
right. I know I have this bias. And I know that the Earth appears flat, and every measurement we could test shows that it's flat. So when I look at these researchers, quote unquote, and they've never even looked into this topic, I'm like, what kind of researcher are you?
Right. That's the point, man. Well, that's the same thing. Like, okay, let's look at the religions. These pastors, these spiritual or religious leaders, and they're up there talking about, oh, and God created the vastness of the universe. And when God created the globe and the planet Earth, it's like, man, you're a pastor who follows the Bible apparently, and you're still calling Earth a planet. That's not in the Bible. So that's the weird part but that's the great divide, man. And that's the part that I'm trying to overcome. Because I can't, it's like, I used to like say maybe when I was younger, I would go to like, I don't know, like a therapist to try to help me. I can't go to a therapist now because in
No,
my
you
head, I'm like,
can't. No. You can
know?
go to one, but you can't tell them what you really think. They'll just
Right,
they'll call you probably schizophrenic
They'll call
because
me
in their biology of belief. You ever read that book, Bruce Lipton, Biology of Belief? It's about how belief shapes reality, basically. And so when you have a belief that's so different than what the targeted mainstream belief is, you are just by definition crazy. That doesn't mean that you don't have your faculties and you don't have what you know to be true and what you're speculative about in the mainstream religion, because it is what it is. It's religion. We don't have religion is high in Abrahamic faith these days, but we have religion in other things, which I'm sure you definitely know about.
well, to me, the religion's anything you believe in. And what people seem to believe in is the new age religion of scientism. That to me is the religion of the modern age. People believe the authorities, basically. And that's the part that's tough. And it is the great divide. So it makes it tough. It's probably the great challenge of anybody who's endeavoring in any degree of truth. It doesn't mean that you or I or anybody else, knows the de facto truth.
I
don't even think it's real.
I would never claim that I know the truth. I'm just a lot more able to not know the truth than some people are, because it's where I've come to in my life. It's not a pro or con. It's just where I'm at. And
right.
I'm actually jealous, like legitimately jealous of some
Yeah.
hardcore Christians,
Right.
because I'm just so, and people in my family, I'm like, wow, look at that. So, and that's what I was trying to get at with the biology of belief. Bruce Lipton wrote the book that was like talking about this, that how much your belief actually affects your reality. And if you have beliefs, whether they're true or false in different domains, the belief is a very important thing, whether your belief is good or bad or true or false. I know it's
Right.
like esoteric and like it's stupid. I know, like, we live in an objective reality in some ways.
No, but I believe me, I understand exactly where you're getting. There's a power in our ability to manifest the things that we believe. There's an energy to it. Let's welcome Mitchell. You there? Welcome to the Z Show.
Yeah, I'm here. What's up, man? I'm pulling
Howdy,
a
Mitch.
Cecil. I'm laying in bed, but
Howdy.
What's up?
What's up, man? What's on your mind?
Oh, not too much. I don't really want to digress from the topic at hand,
It's
but
all right. You wanted to talk about the Josh thing, right? So I'll just give you my statement, and then I'll let you, have your voice.
Where's Rose? I thought Rose was coming on. I would love to talk. I've never talked to her.
You never talked to her. She was backstage, but she ran. You never, Mike. She's so busy, like
I know,
doing her networking and thing. She's
It's sort of weird because I feel like I've talked to her, but I never actually have talked to her.
interesting. She has that personality that she makes herself like she's like everybody's, like, I don't know, sister or something.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't talk to her. She'll draw all my data out of me.
And the thing about her is she's very well versed on many topics. So she's like legit. She's not just here for like the whole shit show.
Well, I
she
like her
actually
because
she actually has values and stuff.
she was into Jason Lindgren, and I kind of have a similar persona as I think to Jason, just from what I've gleaned from him. He's like a guitarist, and he, is who he is. I'm not saying I'm like him, but
Interesting.
I'm not saying
Do you
I
know-
have a crush on Rose.
Do you know they're like together, like they live together and stuff, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I could do my Jason Lindgren impression. Hi, welcome to Crow 777. I'm Jason Lindgren. He's very clear and he pronounces things very
Well, yeah,
well.
he's like a audio engineer. Of course, he's going to be precise.
Yeah, he was on my show. I put a video out, I think today. Of I interviewed him and Crow. It was a good interview. It was like 2.5 hours.
Oh, nice! I got to check
Yeah.
that out.
So anyway, Mitch. So my thought on Josh is, first of all, I think he's 18 now. I actually believe that. I think he has just some kind of characteristics about him that prevent him from looking mature, especially in his face. But his body, he has the body of a man. He's taller than me, dude. And two, YouTube has a policy that 13 is the age. 13 is the age that a child can use YouTube as long as they have their own parents' consent. It doesn't mean the parent has to be there. If the parent consents to them using it, then they can use it. And three, I don't find anything offensive about my show. I'm actually very proud of my show. I'm proud of all the panelists that come up here, the ones that I'm interested in, the ones I give time to. And I'm proud of my content. And I don't think it's inappropriate for anybody who's 13 years old or older to even participate here. So that's my thought. I'm going to stick to it, but I'm certainly interested to hear yours, and I'll respect what you have to say. Go ahead.
Well, I don't know the technicalities of it, but I would conjecture, as some like to say, that some of your content at least would maybe, could maybe use an age restriction, but regardless of all that, I think what you're doing with Josh overall is a pretty good thing. I have been outspoken on, just kind of like pushing the whole trans gay agenda stuff on him. I'm cool with the idea of accepting him and tolerating, him being who he is. But I think that, kind of pushing him down that sort of path is maybe foul play. But, that's just my perspective. I'm not the arbiter of that. I just wouldn't do it personally.
Let me ask you, if he indeed is 18, does that change your characterization?
Not so much, because I would say
Okay,
I wasn't like that at 18, so you know what I mean. So I was, but even when I was 18, I was very impressionable.
Yeah.
And
also the age of consent in the country he lives in is 16, by the way.
I don't know
Everybody-
why sex is even coming into the conversation with him.
It's not. That's the thing. Now, that was my point, is that, well, my point is that if he chooses to express himself in that way, he's legally allowed to in his country.
Okay.
So,
well, he should be lawfully allowed to express himself, just for being himself. And I'm cool with that. I don't have a problem with that. What I'm saying is kind of like pushing that on him is inappropriate from my perspective.
good, Mike. We could hear you. Maybe not. Mike, you there?
I'm sorry. I'm just trying to get perspective because I think I know who you're talking about. I watched this certain guy named Paul earlier tonight, and he had this person on that was
right. It's
that
Joshua.
said there were 20, right? So I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. He's been
Okay.
around for over a year. So he comes on these panels. That's exactly who we're talking about. Correct.
Okay, I just wanted to be included.
yeah, that's Joshua. So he's consistently shown that he wants to participate in these communities. Now, I, as a content creator and the host of my show and my channel, have to decide how I'm going to deal with that and interact with that. And based off my previous interactions and my history with not only him, but running the show, I choose to proceed in a very particular way. And I understand the complexities associated with this, but I actually think he's 18 now, which actually then scraps all those things because he's no different than anybody. And as I said the other day, if he's old enough to get recruited into the Army, he's certainly old enough to come in here and participate with us. It's the way I look at it. And
I think that's
go ahead.
you know, kind of a convo, like a conflation between, you know, what's legally acceptable and what's moral, you know, because what's legal isn't always right and what's right isn't.
Right.
know.
Well, here's the thing. I have no moral qualms with his choice to.
I don't either, and I've made that very clear.
yeah.
That's not my argument at all.
Yeah.
Like I have no problem accepting him for who he is.
What's your argument?
And not making an issue out of that and kind of protecting that in a sense, but not sort of enabling dysfunction or even pushing it on him, you know.
Right. So I believe Mitchell's argument is, if I can paraphrase, you know, I don't want to put words in his mouth, is that Mitchell feels like there's a disservice in, let's say, reinforcing the Joshua's presentation as maybe a bit feminine.
Why does there have to be any like soft-spoken words? We could just talk about what is actually happening.
All right. Okay. Well, let's talk about it. Josh came on my show and he said he's gay.
Okay,
over a year
good for
ago.
him. Good for
And
him.
he said, I'm gay. And I said, well, I accept you, Josh, and you're welcome here. So I
Yeah.
don't tell him to not be anything that he is. And
Okay.
he likes to express himself in certain ways. He plays with dolls. I didn't buy him dolls. He's the one with the dolls.
So what's
He's
wrong
the-
with that?
Right. That's what I keep saying. And everybody has a huge
But
problem
there's
with
nothing
it.
wrong with that. But what I experienced in that is essentially him not wanting to really play with dolls. He did express that at one time, and then the next time he came on, or shortly thereafter, you know, Z was basically
Mitch, he
maybe
still
just
has
out
the
of
dolls,
good faith
Mitch.
trying to.
Mitch, it's a year later and he still has the dolls right next to his
Mitchell,
bed. Mitch.
Mitchell, why don't
Hold on,
you
Mike.
if you
Hold on,
care
Mike.
I just
about
want to share my perspective on
Yeah,
it. I don't have a problem with
know.
him
we
playing
appreciate
dolls.
your perspective,
Right.
but why don't you
But
go
we're just
mentor him?
retorting. Look, we're retorting.
What's
Mitch.
the question?
What,
Is that
Mitchell? If you care about this guy, why don't you go mentor him and talk to him like 24/7 yourself?
I just care about life in general. So
Oh, so you don't care about specific people?
yeah, I'll do my best with him, but I'm not going to
No,
drop what
go
I'm
for it.
doing to.
I think
to
we're
go
all
be
trying to
his.
do our best with him.
Yeah,
Look,
we
Mitch,
all
you have to
we all have a
understand.
limited amount of time. You know.
Look,
So-
here's
Okay,
the
so
thing.
why do I? What's the purpose of your question?
Hold on, calm down, relax.
Well,
Look,
if you're complaining about his treatment, I don't think his
I'm
treatment
not
has been
complaining.
bad.
I'm sharing my perspective of what I experienced, and I haven't even been able to do that.
Well, I think you have.
No, I wasn't. I just got started, and I think I was getting ready to touch on something that was real important, and I got interrupted by two people, and I'm trying to figure out why.
I think you're too sensitive, man.
No, fine. I'm sensitive, but I don't have a problem.
all right. So
I'm just trying to
hold
figure
on.
out why you
Can I
guys
get
are
in here?
interrupting me to stop me from
All right.
sharing my perspective.
All right, Mitch, I've given you plenty of opportunity to share your perspective. I'll give you more opportunity. I just wanted to say this one point.
No worries.
He still has the dolls to this day, a year later, right next to his bed, Mitch.
Point
A
taken.
year later. All right. So I just wanted to make that point to
All right,
show
thank
that
you.
this is obviously something that he's into. And I want him to feel as though he could express himself any way that he wants, because he's funny. Two, he wants to be a part of this community. He waited a year to come back. I'm thinking because he probably turned 18. I remember his birthday was around this time. He was telling everybody he was 18. Okay, turns out maybe he wasn't. We'll never know. And I think he waited a year based off what people are telling me off of his appearance today. Mike is the second person to tell me he made another appearance today. We
Paul's
obviously
Slave Channel.
Yeah,
Z,
we
can
know
you
that.
concede to the point that I don't have a problem with him playing with dolls?
Fair enough, man. I
That's
hear
not
what
my
you're
point
saying.
at all.
What's
If
your
you don't mind,
story?
I just want to get back to the original point that I was trying to make.
What's the point?
The point is, I didn't think it was appropriate for when he after that expressed that he didn't want to play with dolls, that he was done with that, you were trying to push him to do so. And
Mitch, hold on. I hear you just made
Hold on
your
a
point.
second.
Now,
Z,
hold on,
did,
Mike.
Did you
Mike,
push this guy to
was
go play with dolls?
buy dolls and play? Look, Mitch.
no, not go buy dolls. You were just telling him to go get his dolls,
Mitch.
go play with dolls, and he was saying he
Right.
didn't want to, and you kept pushing it on him.
Maybe you can say I was pushing him. Maybe he realized that he was going to get backlash for being himself, and he just needed me to say, Josh, it's okay. You see, so fair play.
Yeah, that's
I
a fair
understand what you're
point.
saying.
Point
Right.
taken.
And
Yeah.
we know that was a year ago. And again, I'm going to reiterate, it's a year. That's a long time. A year later, and he still had the dolls next to his bed. A
Point
year
taken.
later.
I didn't see the dolls still next to his bed.
Yeah,
so that's
he
also
took-
a good point.
he-
And I accept that. I accept that perspective. And I also want to follow that up with the idea that I think the internet is a very toxic place, and I think what you're doing in general is trying to provide a safe place for him to be himself and land within this very toxic environment. So I think overall, in general, what you're doing is very awesome.
Mitchell, if
Appreciate
you,
that, Mitch.
Mitchell,
Your words are taken well. Thank you.
I would like to say this to you, Mitchell. If you think that the internet is a very toxic place, I would say that you are in a toxic environment, and you should probably not be in whatever environment you're experiencing.
No,
because
I'm good. I just know what's on
the
the
internet is not is a neutral place. There are so many places you could go in the internet, just like me.
I get it.
came to
I'm
this
here. That's why
platform
I'm
in
here
peace.
right now, and that's why I'm
Yeah.
not like. But you're making it a toxic place. So I'm just saying,
Well,
like,
in your opinion, but I'm not saying that you're toxic. I'm saying that you have a choice to go wherever you want.
I get that. Thank you. I'm not unaware of that. I have a choice to go wherever I want within the internet, which is why I'm here. And you're trying to have a conversation with Z. I don't have a clue who you are. So yeah, that's all.
All I was
Carry
trying
on.
to say was I don't feel toxic coming to Z's channel, and I don't think he does either.
Well, you just had a very limited perspective of the situation, and so you had
Yes.
nothing to add constructively to the conversation.
I agree.
That's all.
Mitch, I'm going to have to play your music because you are evidencing that you are the people's advocate. And I will apologize to my audience that I did not have your music up earlier because wait, where's my oh, here it is.
Is this what it's like on like live streams? Like you have to just placate people all the time?
Well, I wouldn't put it like that, but look, here's the thing.
I know
Mike,
we're all
about this
we're all childs of God. Yeah, I get it.
No, but here's the thing is that there's value in this and everybody has their own perspective. And
It is sort of funny. I get it.
So here's the thing. Look, there's comedy elements to people up here, but Mitch has brought value to me.
Okay.
And
all right.
so and everybody brings some type of value. There's something I could learn from everybody, but I have to choose who I let up, who I engage with, and how we do it and try to set the tone, but I don't want to control people at the same time. I had a fantasy, Mike, that people would be a certain way and be able to engage in discourse. A lot of that has been shown to me that that's not possible.
Oh, so you
But-
just going mystic with it.
But hold on, I want to play fucking Mitch's music because it's one of my favorites.
All right, I'm into it. I'm not against. I'm just like, what the fuck? But no offense.
Where's my Mitch song? I'm upset now.
I know Mitch. I've seen him on
Oh,
a
here it
chat
is.
before.
Yeah, he has beautiful hair.
Yes, I've seen it.
Mitch isn't going to let people off easy. He's going to hold their feet to the proverbial fire. He's not going to let people off with bullshit. Because he is the Z Show, people's advocate. All right, Mitch, I got an excuse to play your music, and everybody knows whenever I could play my theme music, it's my favorite shit. All right, Mitch, much love, man. Much love, dude.
All
I'm gonna
right,
let you
peace
go,
out.
dude. It's good talking to you, bro.
Yep.
Peace. Yeah, Mike. I mean, you bring up a good point, dude. It's so I'll just tell you how I like to run my show, because part of me thinks about scrapping like this part where I get to talk to people. But here's the thing, Mike. I would have never got to meet you without this. I would have never got to meet like Morgan, who's backstage, or our friend Mitch, who has contributed a lot of good information to me. We had Harmon up earlier, and even though I had to ban Harmon yesterday because he got on my nerves, Harmon is been so valuable to my process here. So to me, it's a balance. I have to integrate this whole thing and move here. Like Tarek's here, Mike. And yeah, I blocked you, Tarek. So I'll put the link in. Tarek, you could be the third person to come up and try to advocate to get out of Z-Gel. But yeah, Tarek, you're blocked. You see, Mike, you see how this whole thing goes down, dude? I can't hear you if you're talking. It's fine, but yeah, Tarek, you're blocked. I don't know what happened to Mike. We lost him. Oh, he's here. So, Mike, are you still here? Oh, look, Chuck in Tennessee's here. Chuck, you're blocked. I don't fucking want you. Bye, Chuck. How did I not block you earlier? Yeah, Chuck, keep running around telling people I was wasted on Sovereign Dave's. I drank a beer with dinner. That was a year and a half ago. You're still telling that story, Chuck in Tennessee? Fine, keep telling it. Z drank one beer one time when he went live with dinner and never did it again. Chuck in Tennessee still wants to tell that story to people as if it means something, as he's trashing me. Bye, Chuck. Morgan, it's fun banning these people. I'm going to just keep it. Oh, you're back. Yeah, we couldn't hear you, dude.
Yeah, my fucking microphone turns on when I'm off and off when I'm on. So I'm sorry about that.
That's all right. Don't worry about it. Let me bring up Tarek.
I'll be back in like 3 seconds. I got to grab something.
Z, why am I blocked?
I want you to guess. Why would I block you?
I have no
Come
clue.
on. Come on, take a guess. I blocked like a bunch of people yesterday. You were one of them.
I didn't say anything about the child. Is it about the what's his name? The Joshua kid?
Yes, I went through my stream and I saw
What did
your
I
comments
say?
and I blocked you.
I know, but what did I say exactly? It wasn't something. It was neutral. It had to be neutral.
No, it wasn't neutral. You were agreeing with people who were being quite obstinate up here and were displaying hatred and bigotry, and you were agreeing with them vocally.
No. Okay, so let me go back. I think maybe what I said was, if I'm correct, is when Lindsay said that Z was mad, I said, I agree with you. You shouldn't go talk to somebody when they're mad. But I still said that Z's a great host. He knows how to handle it. Now, I didn't know the whole situation with the kid. I don't even know the kid. And he hasn't, like, yeah, to be honest with you, I have no clue who that is. Even when I came on the panels, I never knew who that is, Z. I have no clue who that is.
All right, fair enough. Okay, I'll let you slide on it. So
my apologies. No, my apologies if I said something out of context. But
look,
I'm
it's a
just
sensitive situation. Okay, a year ago, half of the panelverse tried to get Z canceled because of this kid. Now he's on everybody's show. Me and Paul were the only ones that were giving this kid any type of courtesy and understanding. And everybody was turning on me and Paul at the time. And you don't understand it, what the whole fucking thing was. And now he's back because I think I think he's definitely 18 now. And I think he's fucking back. And I'm just letting my audience know, if people are going to treat Josh a certain way, you're not welcome here. You're not going to call him names. You're not going to fucking be an asshole towards him. You're not going to do it because he's welcome here. So that's all. Okay, you just got caught up with it, Tarek. So
I totally agree. No, yeah, I totally agree. Z. No, if he's of age, and I know I didn't disrespect him for sure because I don't disrespect anybody like that. But yeah,
there's a couple of things. He obviously has some type of thing where he looks a certain age. Okay, but 13 is the age that people can use YouTube. I don't know how to keep saying it over and over. When all this happened last year, I researched into the YouTube guidelines. As long as his parents let him do it, which they're obviously in the other room and they know it, it's 13, everybody. And I'm not ashamed of my material. I'm proud of my material. I'm proud of the things we talk about here. And I don't think anybody should be excluded from the conversation. And I like the kid. So that's it. All right, Tarek, you came clean. You came correct.
No problem.
And you're a
Thank you,
good
G.
guy. So, and I figured you would. Much love, Tarek. Much love.
Much love. All right. Take it easy, G.
All right. Peace. Let's let up Stephen David. What's up, Stephen? Welcome to Z Show.
What's up, bro? How you doing?
What's
I
up,
just
man?
basically wanted to chime in and at least I don't stop in very often, but wanted to say I noticed I was going to emphasize what you had said if you weren't going to say it about the whole age thing that everybody's getting hung up on. Like, you dug into what's actually the YouTube guidelines. And if people want to do the pearl clutching stuff or want to try and grandstand, they can do that all they want. But you're not the only person that's allowing him to come up. But you are, I would argue, the only person that's actually treating him not like just a lolcow.
Right, which is ironic, Steve. And it just shows about people, right? Because why am I getting the flack when I'm the one who's actually engaging with the kid? Because I actually enjoy his personality, and I think he adds to my show.
Right.
He's kind of like a mad. People don't it's funny to me to have Josh up here doing his thing, as somebody's up here trying to talk to something goofy, and he could just clown on him. And the funny thing is, his instincts on people match mine. So in my head, I'll be thinking this fucking guy sucks. I should probably let him go. And Josh would just go, sorry, bye, Felicia. And I'm in my head, and in my head, I'm like, yeah, bye, Felicia. Get out of here, you know?
Oh, yeah.
So,
I stopped in. I don't remember what day it was, but I saw you were doing the Jeffree Star bit with him, and that was fucking hilarious, man.
right. It's funny. Everybody needs to loosen up. And here's the thing, man, that people might not know about me. My best friend for years was my best friend. And then we were adults. They came out as trans. Okay. And I didn't handle the situation very well. I thought I was handling it well, but I kind of ended up distancing myself from the person, and they ended up committing suicide. All right. So I've had to live with this for a long time. So I have a certain understanding when it comes to these things. And I'm not going to do that again. I'm not going to do that again. I'm not going to turn my back on a person for no fucking reason when there's no reason on God's earth to do it. I have all kinds of wacky people that come up here. The fact that you idiots are focused on Josh makes me fucking sick to my stomach. All right, Steven, much love, dude. Come around, dude. Start studying a little bit of science, man. You gotta get off that. You gotta get off that globe thing. I know you're into Jesus. Guess what? Jesus didn't live on a globe. None of us did.
All right. Well, I'll do that the moment you check out that audiobook by C.S. Lewis. I think you would really dig it. It's a good fictional story if you need to, just check out on this Panelverse sometimes. Just getting into some sci-fi, break away from this stuff. But, I agree.
What's the title? What's the title?
The first book is Out of the Silent Planet. I forget what the name of the trilogy is, but the second book is Paralandra, and the last book is That Hideous Strength. It was basically, so just to give a real quick background, back when Tolkien was writing his Lord of the Rings series, there was a group of writers called the Inklings, which he was involved with, as well as C.S. Lewis and other major writers at that time. What they do is they get together and get drunk, smoke cigars, and argue philosophy, theology, and different stories that they were writing. And basically that was what helped keep them sharp and develop really good stories. We the last era of really good storytelling was from that time.
Right.
And I think that
I would agree with that. I would agree with what you said there. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think part of it is because there was that group, because they didn't all agree with each other. They would argue about different points, and they would try and make their point through their fictional stories about theology, which is why I found it really interesting to compare the Lord of the Rings with C.S. Lewis's trilogy. So yeah, you know, we could do that, and we could talk about it if you ever get a chance to it, or shoot the shit around space stuff as well, because I do find it interesting. Like, I think that we're probably not going to ever actually achieve actual space travel, because I think the way it's framed for us nowadays doesn't work for what space travel would actually.
Steven, where are we going to go? Look, they say the closest star is 25 trillion miles away.
Right.
And dude,
You'd have to be in like a hyperbolic chamber, basically.
It's insane. Look, they say Jupiter's 400 million, and they say Saturn's like 800 million. That's a lot, dude. So even if that's all true, what's really up there for us? There's nothing up there for us. Even if everything that they say about space is true, the moon and stuff, nobody would need to go there. The fact that they're spending all this money in space, it's all fishy, okay? Where's the return on the investment? So all this billions of dollars that Musk and all these people are apparently spending,
Right.
What's the return? What are they getting from it? Nothing. What are they going to harvest an asteroid?
Are just starving. There's people that like, okay, if this was really like a humanitarian effort to find some sort of planet to terraform it or something, you'd think if they were to look to the sunken cost fallacy, they would see like, oh, you know what? Maybe it's probably a little bit better to terraform some section of Africa to help anybody if we were really concerned about people instead of trying to terraform a planet somewhere, right?
Yeah, the whole thing's kooky. All right, Steven, much love. Thanks for coming up. Peace.
All right, take care, man.
Right on. Yeah, it's goofy.
Holy shit. Thank you for letting me come on up with you.
I gotta get to the news, Mike. It was good seeing you. I'm gonna look you up on Discord once I get Discord. Or did you say you're on Discord, or did you say what app did you say you were on? You're gone again. We can't hear you.
Hello.
Now you're back.
Okay.
Did you say you were on Discord?
Oh my God. I'm sorry I had to keep silent for like, what was that, like 2 hours?
What are you talking about?
No, I'm sorry. As long as you can hear me now, that's fine.
Are you ripping on Steven? What are you talking about?
No, like you have no idea, like the amount of attention you get as a flat earther is something I'm trying to avoid personally. But, you know, I appreciate the attention you're getting.
What do you mean attention in what arena? What do you mean specifically?
I'm just saying I'm just some guy that watches your YouTube or whatever channel.
Well, here's the thing, dude. First of all, to be a flat earther is it's a unique thing amongst, let's say, the average normies. We stick out. Most people don't have like a flag on their back that says, I'm a flat earther. Some people do. Some people have shirts that say it, but I'm thinking about bringing my content in onto the streets and expanding it to be the guy on the street talking about this stuff. So
you could do that if you want.
I don't know. I go back and forth with it.
I would say no.
All right, tell me why. What's your reasoning?
I was in a part of a different group of flat earthers that did it.
Okay. What was the experience? Fill me in on it. Bring me in on it.
It's not as fun as you want it to be.
Well, I don't expect it to be fun. I actually expect it to be quite content. I'm probably gonna have to eat a lot of shit, dude, because I can't come up there and tell people like they're idiots and morons, like for comic effect, because that's not nice to do with people in public in a public space.
Well,
people who come on my show choose to come on here, so I can kind of have my way with them.
I mean,
in a way, it's a different game.
I chose to talk to you, right?
Yeah. Okay. So what did you do? You were going out with a bunch of flat earthers and like what? Like just trying to talk with people? Did you record it?
No, I never did it.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
Yeah.
I respect universal law.
What the fuck do you mean by that?
It's so It's okay. Everything's okay. Is universal law is like everything's okay.
Right. So
When
you just
when
let people
well,
live their
hold on a
lives and
second.
stuff.
Hold on a second. When you tell somebody that everything they believed in since they were in high school is wrong, that's not universal law.
Yeah.
So that's my opinion on it.
So you think like live and let live, and if the information comes across them, like I don't, well, I'm not going to sit out there. All right, here's what I envision: is talking to people, having conversations with them, and then recording the experience, and that's it.
It doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. It really doesn't.
I know, but here's the thing. Mike. I can relate with what you're saying because I can hold that up and take your perspective.
Yeah,
but on the other, hold on the other side of that scale is if people don't have the information to even make an informed decision, then right. So then am I not in some way obligated to at least give them the information so then they can make an informed decision about how they want to, what they want to accept about this world and how they want to proceed in terms of their worldview? Because if other people didn't talk about this, Mike, I would have never came to this understanding. Maybe we all would have been better off if we didn't. We could have been ignorance bliss people. I don't know. You might have a point.
But do you think like the people that you talk to are the same as you?
I don't know, man. I can't figure it out. I know you're pissing off Christy Lee dolls, and she's getting all hot and bothered.
I mean, it's pretty fun.
She's saying that you're pissing her off.
That's like the, it has nothing to do with me.
All right, look, I still have 2 people backstage, and I have to get to the news. Much love. Come talk to me again, Mike. Even though you're pissing some people off, you're making valid points. All right, man. Are you on Whippets right now? Did you go to the refrigerator and start hitting the Whippets?
No, it's sort of like you understand something that's so intense you can't make anything of it.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I get it. All right, man. Peace. Nice talking to you.
Welcome to reality.
Let's mic everybody. Got all kinds of people. All right, Snafu. I'm gonna let you up, man. But if you're not gonna have a rational conversation with me, oh, Mike, you're still up here. Much love, Mike. Stay off the Whippets, dude. Much love. That's funny. Snafu, I'm going to let you up, but I would ask to try to have a conversation, man, because if you try to railroad me, I'm just going to get rid of you, man.
There's no railroading you. I'm actually kind of laughing at your discernment. You damn well know Josh is under 18. That's all I got to say.
All right, bye. You made your point, Snaps. I just happen to disagree with you. My discernment is saying that's why he waited a year to come back. If you want to know the truth. Oh, I have Bex Factor here. Bex, is that you? The real you?
It's the real me. Nice to see you, Z. How are you?
It is Bex. Indeed, it is Bex.
I just wanted to come up and say hi. I'm new to this, Josh. I mean, I've been given a bit of briefing long before it, he turned, just as I've learned about the Panelverse and, different things that occurred before I came here. So, it brings up interesting questions, like how do we determine how old someone is? And, I really appreciated what you had to say, about how you choose to support him and welcome him and, the 13-year-old cusp and, the 18-year-old admission. I was just wondering if he does have some sort of developmental difference that makes him look younger and maybe still, say, have some self-soothing behaviors that are, habits we typically associate with childhood,
Right.
like thumb sucking or things like that. I know people that suck their thumb well into their teens. You can tell by the way their mouth is shaped, their teeth formed, you know.
Correct.
I would just say it has more to do with the understanding of his developmental differences, so that he can be supported, on more than just, say, his attraction to other boys, and things like that, like to make sure that if he is coming from a really bad environment at home, that can make some people vulnerable to not having good choices about the environments they put themselves in, right? And what they don't understand as what we would call, at least in real life, abusive behavior, So, I don't have a stance on this. I don't know enough, but I think there's a way that we can definitely support welcoming someone to come around and trying to treat them, and meet them at their level,
Well, fair points. I choose to look at him like I would look at anybody else, because who are we to decide people's level of competence? Come on, Bex. I could look around at these people in their 50s and 60s that come up here that display extreme examples of, let's say, atypical neurological patterns, neurodivergent behaviors, and a host of, let's say, even disordered behavior. Okay. So I feel as though there should be no discrimination towards anybody based on the way they look, the way they might present, if they're maybe a little different. And that's the way I look at it, is from that lens. And I don't discriminate against people. And what I've noticed from a large portion of this, and I've been dealing with this for over a year now, was the first time we met this individual. And the nastiness that people exhibit towards him is the biggest issue. So if any protecting needs to go on, it would have to be just me making sure people don't come here and, let's say, disrespect, dishonor, and degrade the individual. So, and I've done that. So as far as the way he expresses himself, whether that's being promoted or discouraged, that's going to be on him. I choose to accept people. I have all the colors of the rainbow that come here. It's no different in his personality. I have a number of transgendered people that have presented here on my panel. He's just one that's part of that community, and he identified as gay. Unprovoked, he said it to me and my audience. So in my head, I say, I respect what he said. I'm not going to make him feel bad about himself. And he can express himself any way he wants. And that's the way I look at it. This is the way he likes to present. If other people want to tell him that there's something wrong with him, then they could do it. I'm certainly not. And the reality is, this platform allows people like him who are his age to come on here, interact, and participate. Plain and simple. So now I, as a content creator and as a person and a human being, have to make a decision on how I interact with him. So that's up to me to do. And if Bex, if he comes on your channel, you're going to have to make a decision how to interact with him, if at all. So go ahead.
Yeah.
The floor is yours.
Yeah, no. And I think, for a bunch of adults, where you said that early on the show, you were saying that, you've got someone running around sowing a narrative about you being an alcoholic or something, or just, over exaggerating the story of maybe you getting a little more relaxed on a panel than people are used to, because a beer can hit us. So obviously somebody noticed something evidently different. I've been thinking about getting drunk online on my panel and having a party because I think it'd be fun. So,
And you're right.
if people,
Bex, I'm a lightweight. One beer does hit me. I would agree with you. That's why I don't drink anymore. I stopped. And it was funny. It's the one time that I drank. It was like my first week on panel. I went on Sovereign Dave's and I was like, okay, let me talk to these globies. And I just said, oh, yeah, I had a beer with dinner. Now it's a year and a half later and all these people who want to besmirch my name. It's, oh, Zetetic Warrior's wasted. Anyway, sorry, I cut you off.
No, that's fine. I appreciate the additional lore, because I think that's the biggest thing that I've noticed. And I'm probably guilty of it. I just can't think of it, and an example off the top of my head. But as much as people can spin on a dime out here, they also really like to hold on to those stories. So, I think that you're a content creator that's shown and admitted to things that you've done that you feel like you could have done better. And you have a history of saying that to your audience. And, especially when you came back, you could see that you'd thought these things out. So why wouldn't we be out here trying to display to each other that we can learn and grow and do better, So when you got, like I said, the comparison is people just sowing a narrative for drama. Z's a drunk, haha, Z's a lightweight, whatever, Z was a drunk. I actually thought to hop up at that time. I was going to hop up and pretend to do an intervention, right? Do you need a sponsor, right? Do we need to go to a meeting together?
Right. Well, it's
because I
interesting.
think,
no, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say, I think that that's part of the problem, right? People are still holding on to what happened last year and what at that time, what could have done better, like what they think you could have done better, but what could they have done better? Like, is anyone in chat being like, well, I really wish I hadn't, dragged the kid for this, or, you know what I mean? Like, or dragged the young man. I worked as a server for years. I identify people by certain traits. It's hard on a flat screen versus seeing someone in person.
Bex,
his
listen,
hands,
hold on.
Yeah,
Listen, he's a big fucking kid. He's taller than me. He's big. He's big.
Yeah, you can't. You can't tell.
Look,
right? You really can't tell.
I could rattle off 5 syndromes that make people's faces look immature like that. He obviously has it. So it doesn't matter. I'm going to continue to do what I feel is right and the right thing to do. And I don't think it would be right to ignore him. And I like having him as part of my show. I think he's fucking funny. And I think he's like a good mascot for all of our shows. And he comes in because he's pure-hearted. He just wants to look for camaraderie, and people want to discount. See, here's the thing, Bex. People have an elitist view on themselves and others. And even in these circles, and I've seen it over the year and a half I've been doing this, is the same type of indoctrinated understandings that people have, prejudices and otherwise, come here. The reality is, if I was to hold certain standards to these people, I would be doing them a disservice, because maybe he has something to offer to all of us. That's one of the reasons why, and that's why people got so triggered when he takes his dolls out and plays with them. I'll let him do it because I want these people to get triggered. One, I want to see them because I don't want to have anything to do with them. And 2, they need to learn how maybe they can look at the situation differently, because there is millions, if not billions, of LGBT people all around the world, and everyone in these communities has some narrative about the LGBT agenda that's being pushed on everybody, and it's a mental disorder. Maybe it is, or maybe they're just being who they are, and we need to be a little bit more accepting. It doesn't mean you have to be like that. So it's just the way I look at things. But anyway, much love, Bex. I appreciate you coming up. It's good to hear your voice. How are you, by the way?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for asking, and thank you for saying that. I really appreciate it. I'm starting a part-time job tomorrow, catering. So I was out getting my car back on the road and buying blacks and aprons and shoes and stuff like that today. So I'm chill. Actually, I'm really chill. I've done more in the last few days to get ready for this and it's been really expensive. You get to go spend $1,500 to go to work to make 100 or whatever, but I mean,
Well,
it's just getting my car insured and stuff. So that had to be done. That's not a work expense, but
well,
so yeah.
isn't that such a weird thing, Bex? That's a trick. I remember I've even talked about this in the show. When I was in the professional world, I'd have to go have the shirts. And then in the beginning, when I was really on my game, I was getting my shirts dry cleaned. And then it was the shoes and the belts and the whole thing. It's cost prohibitive, like you said. Then the cars, and then you're working just to pay for the lifestyle to keep you working. And that's how the system gets you, unless you're on top of it. And then you can manage it. But that's
Exactly.
cool. I don't, I don't need to ask you what your work career's been over the last couple years and stuff. That's your own story.
I'm a restaurant industry by trade, mostly like catering for many, many years, serving, cooking, restaurant equipment, party rental, equipment rental, like basically the food service industry is my lifelong career. I've been a landlord and stuff. So that's the lowdown. I've done a few other things, but probably
Gotcha.
30 years in food service, front
Well,
end, back of house.
I know you came from a family where education was quite impressed on you in a lot of ways. So I know you have that background. I know you're not a lightweight
Yes,
there.
economics, MA in economics.
What about your online experience? How's that been going? What are your plans moving forward? Because this is a weird game, Bex. It's ups and downs, and the reality is, if you're not in it for the love of the game, then the experience probably isn't going to last, because other, let's say, trappings of success are hard to come by in this day and age. I don't know what your experience has been, but maybe you could share a little bit.
It's been great, of course it's had its ups and downs. I'm not saying I've loved every aspect of it. That's, but the outcome I know Mitch kind of bugs me. He's like, he'll tease me and be like, I matured online, but the other day, yesterday when I insured my car, I had the visor down and I had music cranked. I was driving it to see if I could charge the battery. I had to get another battery because anyways, doesn't matter. Had the music cranked, was driving along, had the visor down, and I was just not really paying attention. And suddenly I couldn't see the stoplight. I could only see the car in front of me and the brake lights. So I slam on my brakes. I had to slam them on. I dovetailed a little, if that's the right lingo. And, I squealed and burnt rubber, to not hit the car in front of me. And I stopped 3 feet short of him, right? Maybe even 5. It wasn't that close, but normally that kind of event would have had me need to pull over shaking. And I just looked at the person, waved out the window, looked down at my hands, took a deep breath. You're okay. Car's okay. Pay the fuck attention. And, and just kept driving. So there's a stability that's come from this, even if some people would be like, you're not stable. I was really impressed with my ability just to even deal with that kind of self-regulation, in a situation where physically, I was stressed for a moment, but, out here, you can, even if you're reacting in the moment and it seems real, it's over, it only takes a while later to realize how surreal it all is, And so some of those battles have actually made me capable of better, regulation of myself in real stress.
Right.
Out
I see
here,
what you mean. It's a refinement process. It's what life is, and it's what we make of it. So I get that. And the weird thing about being online is people get to watch it, but we're all online. This is YouTube. We're all kind of out here. Everybody's presenting in a different way. Everybody has different, let's say, motives for presenting like this. But I think probably we're all just looking for some sense of, I don't know. It might even be community. It might be growth. It might be knowledge. It might be all of those things together, and they may change. But I would hope that as time goes forward and as we become more enmeshed in this digital world, that the pendulum swings back towards the basic foundations of the human experience, where people can be more understanding, more open to other people, their cultures, their differences, and people can bring back a sense of morality that I would say over the last 10 years, as we've become more immersed into this digital world, that we have lost. I mean, I don't know about your experience, Bex, but the way people behave online and act towards each other, the things they say, their behaviors are, I think, in need of, let's say, some remediation. And I'm hoping people start to understand that and the pendulum swings back, because I don't see this digital world going away. People are meeting their partners on here. People are making friends here. So for what it's worth, I'm hoping humans can maintain their humanity as we embark into this digital age, because the other side of that coin is then it just all has to go, and we need to basically revolt against this technology. And I don't think that's necessary either.
No.
I hope our better angels prevail. That's what it's my hope lately.
Very well said, Z. I appreciate that, and I second that motion very much. I think, yeah, I think you said that perfectly. And I think it's important that people understand that that's not just a YouTube thing or a social media thing. You know, I've never online dated, but I know that ghosting is a thing. I heard about, what do they call, what's it called? When women will go on a date with a man and then order extra food to take home to their man. You know,
It's
like
called,
stuff like,
yeah, you're right. There's a word for it. It's called like a foodie something. Yeah, I know there's a
yeah,
word for
fooding
it.
maybe. Yeah, stuff like that. So, you know, this kind of behavior isn't just exclusive to, you know, the panel communities or YouTube, where anyone could review anyone and say anything they want or clip things and take them out of context, or, you know, yeah. So I think it's important to sort of look at the scope of those kinds of behaviors in general. You know, I think people used to just hang up the phone on each other and be like, I'm not talking to you for a while, right? Like, or don't, you know, they go no contact, right? For after a fight or something. And long before this technology existed. So maybe some of it is a manifestation of suppressed, you know, saying to people, I really don't want to be around you, but I'm stuck around you. Or yeah, there's just a lot. People learn to these tools of blocking and making people disappear in your life, blocking people just in your cell phone, let alone online, you know, because you're upset with someone. Those are all tools that are there for a reason, and maybe we're overutilizing them in an immature fashion initially. On that being said, though, when you know, to get back to you blocking people earlier, talking to Harmon and stuff, I think it's important for people to use the tools of social media for their own use, however they want to, right? Like I've always said to people, I use those tools on a daily basis. You know, I've blocked between 120 and 700 people at times. You know, they wouldn't know it, right? They wouldn't know it. When I was blocking 700, I wasn't running around saying anything. No one could see me, right? But I was also looking at patterns, right? Trying to see if there's more people in chat than can actually chat. You know, if people, you know, on really big pages actually have like, you know, 300 people out of 700 talking, but each individual screen can only print so much up, as if it's almost on paper, because if everybody was talking, it would be scrolling too fast. So I've just been doing sort of algorithm research when I do that. And it started in our smaller community, but then I went to way bigger channels. I've blocked people on channels I've never even met just to do mathematical research, really. So
interesting.
But I'm not trying to cop out on when I have had 40, 50 people blocked, because I don't feel like
here's the way I
watching.
look at it, Bex. Look, if people want to come, this is why, and my understanding on this has developed over my year and a half here. I put in thousands of hours at this point, you know, and it's a refinement process. So I understand that if people want to experience a thing, then there needs to be boundaries. So if I'm boundaryless up here, it won't exist. So in order to maintain this experience for myself and for the people who find value in it, I have to create and enforce these boundaries. However, I'm going to do it. And it's strange. It's a digital world. So that's just the way I look at it. And I think it's a healthy thing to do so in a way that's functional. All right. I got to run because I want to talk to Morgan real quick,
Okay.
and I got to get to the news. It's good talking to you,
Yeah,
Bex.
I
Much
hope.
love.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I hope when I bring my channel back, you'll come visit. I have a theme song for you.
Nice. I wish we had to get a
Yes.
theme song for you. All right, Bex. Much love. I
Well,
appreciate
I
the
look forward to
invite
that. Take
too.
care.
I like
Thanks, Z.
that. Thanks.
Bye for now.
Bye bye. See, I like how she invited me. So now if I stop by, I don't have to feel like I'm kind of intruding. All right, Morgan, just a few words for the audience, dude. It's good to see you, man, as always. You always have a good vibe. Just hit the audience with something, and I have to get on to the news.
All right, here we go. I can only affect the things that I can affect, and I can only choose at some point to believe and live inside my own beliefs. At some point, all the negative things that are happening out here, all I know is that I right now have my ability to choose how I feel and how I'm gonna behave towards myself. So if this moment, the devil or whatever, evil or whatever, you know what I mean? If it's not actually physically stopping me from loving or, you know, like doing my thing, I'm just gonna go ahead and consider it a moment I have, you know, like to fight. You know what I mean? Like to refine, like you're saying, Z, to refine what it is that I do. I mean, I spend too much time worrying about this thing or that thing. Like even if something could happen down the road, it's like, okay, but it's not happening right now. And you can see that too. I'm right here. I'm okay. No matter what waves have come, I'm still here. And I'm only gonna hurt myself getting upset about a wave that I perceive coming that is only there because I'm making it a big deal. I just need to stop and regroup and figure out what it is I want to do and then do it. And that's what I'm doing again. You know, I can't affect things that I can't affect, and I can't worry about them any longer. So I'm just gonna have to go back to having fun, like for real, man. And then
Okay, Morgan, I like that, what you just said there, dude, because look, every moment is a new opportunity. Every moment.
Yes.
It's never too late to do the right thing. Ever.
I'm
There's
supposed to be about
always
having
that
fun.
moment.
Yeah, what were you saying? I'm always what? Or you always? Go ahead.
Well, it's never too late to do the right thing. That's it.
Yeah, and I
You
know I'm
always have a
supposed to be having
choice. No one's ever too far gone, man. You always have a choice in that moment. You could throw the past away. It's gone anyway.
Yes. Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. Like, I don't have to hurt myself to lobotomize or whatever. I can just say, enough. New page. That's a power, and I can use it. God allows it too. Like, do it. You know? And I am. So I am. It's a new page, and I'm thankful for the breath in my body. I'm thankful for the strength that I feel. I'm thankful for the, you know what I mean? Like, the fact that I have what I need. Obviously. You know, if I did not, you would not be hearing the words out of my mouth. You know, so obviously God's promises, like which I believe in, have not abandoned me. It's just that I've allowed some, or I didn't. That's the whole entire thing. It's in the past, like you said. It's not affecting me now. That's what I had to come to grips with. Fear, and then just let it fucking go before it choked me. And while I still remain, you know, me, which is a person that won. You know what I mean? I have the promises of God. I am an eternal being. I am risen with Christ. You know, just the dead are getting me down, man. Like, that's it. The dead were just getting me down with their.
I get it. Hey, Morgan, it says let the dead bury the dead, right?
Yes,
All right, much
all
love,
right.
brother. Much love. Peace. It's Morgan, everybody. My man, Morgan. As I said, peace and blessings, everyone. I like Morgan's point. Each moment is a new opportunity to do better. That has to be what it's all about. All right, guys and dolls. It's time for news. Bum 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 bum. In tonight's top story, Iran threatens to target Israeli nuke facilities, Middle East on precipice of bigger war. The Middle East is on the precipice of a broader war that can be averted with a two-state solution allowing Israel and Palestine to exist side by side, with Jerusalem as a shared capital, UN Secretary General announced. However, that solution won't come from immediate U.S. recognition of a Palestinian state after the U.S. vetoed in the Security Council a draft resolution to that effect. The comments came as Tehran warned it has the ability to strike Israel, the Israeli nuclear sites, if Israel targets Iran's nuclear facilities. God, it's like I'm living back in 1981 all over again. This has been the same protracted bullshit for my entire life. Hey, anybody who's young out there, like if you're younger than me, in your 20s or 30s, just realize this has been going on for a long time. I don't know what the future holds. I'm not going to fear porn people. I'm not going to live in fear. That seems to be what they want. The name of their game is to keep you anxious, to keep you in some state of trepidation, mainly because that makes you more controllable. A mankind that is in a fear state is a mankind that is ripe for control. Don't play into it. There's no need. I know the people around you, like Morgan was saying, most of them at this point are evidencing that they're no more than some type of programmed human-like android. That's on them. You could make your own decision. You don't have to participate. You can make the choice. You can make the choice to do really whatever you want within reason. I would just say, don't be afraid. Don't be fearful. And the reality is, even if there is some type of legitimate threat posed to all of us right now, existing in a fear state will not help you or anybody else. You need to be rational. You need to make decisions that are based on logic. Decisions that are functional. Either way, maybe just don't let him win. Maybe the mere act of courage, maybe that's the victory. In Hollywood news, Quentin Tarantino scraps The Movie Critic as his final film. Quentin Tarantino is no longer planning to make The Movie Critic, which he had earlier said would be his final film as a director. It was confirmed Wednesday that the director had given the project a thumbs down. The movie would have been Tarantino's 10th film, but sources say he won't be looking to rewrite the script or revive the project. instead making plans to move on to something new. Apparently, Brad Pitt had been cast in the lead role in the film. And this is interesting to me. I've been following Quentin Tarantino's career. I was right at that perfect age when he came out with his primary movies that launched him, Reservoir Dogs and then Pulp Fiction. And at the time, I recognized right away that the movies stood out amongst all the other Hollywood presentations. He's one of these directors. Apparently this is his 10th movie and he's scrapping it. I don't know the ins and outs, but for some reason I'm interested in Tarantino. I know Morgan is. Pulp Fiction's like his favorite movie. Who knows what's going on with these Hollywood people, the ins and outs of them. If I'm to be frank, I still enjoy the idea of cinema. Now, that being said, I can't think of a single movie within the last 15 years that's even remotely tolerable. But to me, there was a golden age. So there's an encyclopedia of movies available for anybody. Hell, why even make new movies? You guys are wasting your time. Who's watching these things anyway? They're horrible. And there's so many of them. Who can keep up with Netflix and Hulu and Amazon and Disney Plus? The rate at which they produce these movies is almost difficult to comprehend. And I've said it before. It appears that this Hollywood has been the main propaganda wing for whatever this whole world order is. They seem to have known what they were doing. And it's my impression that the technology that we see that appears to be advancing, well, I conjecture that it's basically either existing elsewhere or I don't know, something. But I'm one of these guys that thinks there's like other lands right here on Earth. That's a whole nother story. Anybody's new here. I mean, my old time listeners know that, but I think it's more likely than not than the landmass that we're aware of is just a small part of this whole world. Now, whether you want to call the other lands Earth, I don't know. So to me, there's probably advanced civilizations that are right here. Wouldn't surprise me if they were rolling this technology out on us. What would that mean? It would mean that they knew all about the TV before the TV came out. Same thing with the internet. And same thing with any other technology. To me, it's evidence. I talk about this consistently, how science and technology is often presented in the media and in entertainment, whether it's movies, magazines, books, decades, if not centuries before they actually come out. That fascinates me. I may do more in the future as I explore some of this old-time Hollywood cinema. So, from the AFP, Indonesia evacuating thousands after volcano erupts causing tsunami threat. Indonesian rescuers raced to evacuate thousands of people Thursday after a volcano erupted 5 times, forcing authorities to close a nearby airport and issue a warning that the crater collapsing into the sea could cause a tsunami. Mount Ruwag's crater flamed up with lava against the backdrop of lightning bolts overnight after eruptions pushed an ash column more than a mile into the sky and forced authorities to raise their alert to the highest level of the 4-tiered system. Pretty cool. Volcano erupting. I guess it's not that cool if you live there. I've never seen a volcano. I've never seen a volcano. My problem. I don't travel much. I'm one of these guys. I don't really do many things. Although I got to experience an earthquake like a week or two ago, whenever that was, which coincided with that eclipse that we had, which to me can't be a coincidence. Although the news was very quick to tell everybody that, of course, they were unrelated. And I had people in my neighborhood, which almost just like good little programmed bots of the system, multiple people had to tell me, well, the news told me the earthquake and the eclipse were unrelated, so they must be right. I just kind of nodded my head. Like I keep saying, I'm meeting people at their level now. I don't go around like to my neighbors and start talking about the eclipse and how the solar eclipse proves that they're lying to you about science. I'm not going to do that with my neighbors. I need to maintain relationships with them. I'm not doing it. I'd rather just form like functional real life relationships with people. Maybe that guy Mike Cargo was right, who was up here, who appeared to be like inhaling huge amounts of like nitrous oxide as he was like asphyxiating. Mike, were you participating in some weird like autoerotic asphyxiation exercise when you were up here? You seem to be losing consciousness towards the end of our conversation. I'm not sure. Either way, interesting. All right, guys and dolls, that'll do it for the news and another Z show. Thank you all for being here, making it a great show as always. And I've done a number of shows now. I stopped keeping track. I never kept track. I could probably go back and count. It's more of a process at this point. Who knows where all this is going to go with all of us? All I know is for whatever reason, I'm compelled to come here and do this and say the things that I say. I'm compelled to do it. I don't have to ask why anymore. It doesn't matter. And I'm going to pursue in face of the people who are threatening to stop me, which again took place tonight, which I don't have to talk about. So if they shut me up, they shut me up, everybody. But I'm going to keep doing this. And I have everything on record. Thank you, Ruled by Saturn. I appreciate it. Thank you, everybody. What's up, Mateo? Mateo, I'll just give you some. Instead of just saying I have a question, ask the question. Go ahead. This is your opportunity. I'm stopping the show so you can ask your question. Are you going to do it? I've been up here for 3.5 hours. Blessings. Blessings to you too, Nuba, with your new logo. We're waiting for you, Mateo. The class is staying after. He said, do you remember Ed Savitz? Ed Savage? The Republican commentator? Yeah, I don't know. What do I know? All right, much love, everybody. I'll go after the show and I'll do the unbanning to the people who, have shown themselves to be worthy of such action. He said aired on some channel. CBC, yeah. No, I'm not familiar with that, Mateo. All right, much love, everybody. And if the fates are willing, we will be back here tomorrow, same Z time, same Z channel. Much love all. Peace.